Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Simply Complicated Podcast. This is episode number 6, and of course, it is the lovely, lovely show where we take the most simplest of things and turn them far more complicated than they ever need to be. I'm Primalliquid, aka Sam, and of course, with me, as always, is Alan and James. How you guys doing this week?
Hello.
What's going on? Everybody good?
But
I've still got my cold, but alive. Cool.
No, I was just going to say, like, this has been a bit of an interesting week in the terms that there's not really been a lot going on, but there's also been a lot of rumours coming out this week. So I don't really know what to make of this week. You know, it's like there's been nothing really confirmed or anything like that. But at the same time, some of the rumours coming out have me, like, really raising my eyebrow going,
But this is what we expect on a console release. So
yeah.
for me, it's about time. A lot of the rumors that were coming out before were very outlandish, if you will. These are more rumors that I can actually believe.
I definitely have to agree with that for sure. Because, I mean, there's definitely some interesting things that have come out. Obviously, we don't have any official confirmation from some of these. However, some of these rumors are actually from people who do have hands-on experience with both the Xbox and the PS5. But other than that, you know, I mean, we've got some game news, some general news, and things like that. So, how about we just jump into the first topic then? And this is one that, honestly, I've been complaining about for a long, long time. It's like, long-time viewers of this stream, my channel in general, will know I've hated on the PS5. Just for the simple fact of, it's probably not going to be very good cooling. However, a rumour has come out that seems to completely just kick me in the balls and say, you're an idiot.
It's always fun when that happens.
It happens quite often, though.
Thank you. But no, basically, the rumour is the PS5 has no fan noise and it runs extremely, really cold. And I don't know what to make of this.
So the report was, after 80 hours of gameplay, that the system was still cool. And the player himself stated that the room he was playing in was warm. For what that's worth.
The only issue I've got with this is it doesn't state what game he was playing.
Yeah, it doesn't mention what game it was.
Point. So,
is it 80 hours on standby? Because 80 hours of gameplay is a lot of time.
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be standby. Like, there are plenty of, like, indie games, for example, that will not put any stress at all on a console. I mean, it's like, I think the PS4 is the most notorious console for heat problems. Because, I mean, well, I've got a bit of a jet engine. James, you have a bit of a jet engine as well, right?
I do, yeah, the PS4 Pro.
Yeah. So it's like, PS4 gets very, very hot, but it depends on what game I'm playing for how hot it gets. Like, I could play a low-end game, and I won't even hear the fans in the PS4. So I think this is more than likely a marketing move, like a PR stunt, than anything. It's like, they didn't say what game, so they could put on, like, some novel game, you know, like a visual novel, which is basically just pictures and some moving text.
Well, the real test would be something like Call of Duty, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like anything AAA, something like that. Like a lot of fast-paced action.
What about the rumor that somebody mentioned, what was it, that it could be a vapor chamber that's cooling the system?
So, vapor chambers are new for console, but they've been around for a while on PC. There's quite a few different ways that a vapor chamber cooler works. Like, most heat sinks, for example, on a PC typically have, like, big, thick rods on them. And these are essentially the heat pipes. And these, like, the inside of these pipes is hollow. And there's actually a small amount of liquid in these pipes. So when it's at the bottom on the heatsink, which is, like, on the CPU, that will essentially, like, evaporate the liquid into cooling the CPU. The vapor rises up the heat pipes, and then it'll dissipate the heat through all the fins on the heatsink. And then as it cools down, the vapor will eventually turn back into liquid and fall back down and basically repeat the process. It's essentially sort of normal air cooling, with a few small differences. And depending on the cooler, this could be either very good or very bad. It depends on the size of the pipes, essentially, for how much liquid is in them. Because it's like, it could end up being a very, very good cooler. Because there are some vapor coolers out there that are amazing. But there are also some out there that, I mean, are just completely useless.
It is worth mentioning that this is a rumour.
Yeah. I mean,
nothing is confirmed.
The thing is, I don't know how they would do it, essentially. Because when you think about it, like, normal consoles typically use a laptop-style cooler, which is just, like, very thin. Well, I say thin. It's, like, very flat pieces of copper, and they basically transmit heat along it that way to a fan. That's typically how all the older consoles have done cooling. So,
but that's primarily because of the size of it, though, isn't it? These ones are bigger.
Yeah, but I still don't think they're big enough to warrant an actual proper vapor chamber cooler. Because it's like, the way a vapor chamber works is, it essentially, you basically need enough room for, like, the actual copper pipes and the actual fins as well. And normally in consoles, they have the flat bits of the flat bits of copper which go through the heat spreaders with a fan next to them. This wouldn't work this way on the PS5, so I don't know. It depends on how they've got the internal layout. So I think it could explain the sheer size of the console, that's for sure. Like, it could definitely explain the size. But at the same time, we knew Sony had to do something about the cooling because of how badly it was back on the PS4.
Yeah.
Regarding the actual rumor itself, with it obviously running as cool as what it apparently does, do you believe in it? How much percentage do you reckon that's actually a fact or rumor?
See, I could believe that it could run cool, but we can't really say how much of a fact it is until we've been given a game that it's ran on.
That's the only issue, yeah. But
if it runs Call of Duty, you could sort of get an estimate of how cool it runs.
I think we need to see it run a high-end game before we decide anything. It's like, we have no idea what game it ran. For all we know, it was running chess, you know? Like, we have no idea what it was running.
4K 60 FPS.
Hey, that's how all the pros play chess, dude, didn't you know? It's like, no one plays chess in real life anymore. That's dead. That's dead as a doornail. Especially this year.
Yeah, we can't do it this year.
But no, I think... I don't know whether I want to get excited, because 99% of me is, like, almost sure this is just a PR stunt, basically. But at the same time, there is that little tiny bit of me that's like, oh, please be true, please.
You just want to believe it, don't you?
Yeah, because it's like, whenever I'm playing something on the PS4, like a demanding game and that, obviously for YouTube and that, you know, I mean, I can play a game for 4, 6, 7 hours straight. And, I mean, the console turns my room into a bloody inferno. It is so hot at times in here just because of that console. And
I've been in your room.
Yeah, it's hot, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, he didn't say what we were doing in my room.
What I wanted to make at the start, though, essentially is, for instance, for me, the PS4 Pro had a serious issue with overheating. The normal PS4, I didn't have so much of an issue. I can play the same game on 2. PS4 Pro is a jet engine. PS4, not so bad.
So, we've talked about this a few times. This is actually where me and you are slightly different. Because my original PS4 was ungodly hot. Not as hot as the Pro.
The original one was. It's the midway one. So do you know when they did the 1 terabyte ones?
No.
Yeah.
That one doesn't seem to have any sound to it whatsoever. The original did, the Pro did. That one seems absolutely fine.
They brought another one out, didn't they, before the Pro?
Yeah. So it's a 1 terabyte model, basically, of the original.
I was going to say, I mean, let's be honest. The original PS4 was a goddamn nightmare for heat. Like, there were PS4s on launch setting on fire, melting through the plastic case.
See, the original PS4 was definitely overheating when I had it. I've not had an overheating problem with the Pro, though, for some reason.
I mean, I wouldn't say overheating.
Not overheating.
More the sound.
Very hot.
Yeah, the sound. I've not really had that jet engine experience that most people have had with the Pro.
Well, here's the question. What Pro do you have? Because there are multiple sorts of Pros as well.
Is there?
Yep. For example, I got the Pro with Red Dead Redemption 2, and they were doing a bundle. The Red Dead Redemption 2 PS4 bundle is actually different to all the other PS4 Pros. It has a different fan curve in it, and I think the fan curve is actually high, so it would get louder. Other than that, it was actually set to a lower fan curve when it wasn't actually using much resources. So essentially, if you're not taxing it, it runs quieter, and when you are taxing it, you essentially turn your jet into a fucking rocket.
That sounds like mine.
I don't recall getting mine as part of the bundle.
So you reckon you've just got the normal PS4 Pro?
I think so. Maybe
that's why then, like, your fan isn't ramping up as much as, like, my Pro model, for example, when it's under use.
I wasn't even aware that there were different Pros. I thought it was the same Pro in the bundles.
No, there's, I think there's 3 different models of the Pro. There's the original one, there's the one that came with the Red Dead Redemption 2 bundle, and I think they've done another one since. But I could be mistaken on the third, but I know that for sure there are at least 2. Because that's the entire reason I went for the Red Dead Redemption 2. It's like, I don't like Red Dead Redemption 2, I just gave the game to my sister. I got it just for the sake I wanted this model of the PS4 Pro, and that was the only way to get it.
As if you didn't even play it.
That could make sense, though, because the one PlayStation that I haven't had issues with is the Uncharted one. So it's like a special edition one. Yeah. So that it could have different fan systems or something like that.
That's fine. I mean, we don't know how it's going to be for the PS5, just because the PS4 has had so many variations. But do you think they took what they learned from the PS4? Because obviously, like,
they have to.
Well, we've just been talking about how each console has essentially had a slightly modified version previously. Do you think they were using the PS4 as a test on these, like, Pro models and that? Seeing, like, what they can get away with, what they can do, ready for
like
the PS5?
A beta before the PS5?
Because when you think about it, like, we've only known about the PS5 this year. The PS5 would have been in development from Sony for the last multiple years, like 2-3 years easily.
I think if that was the case, if it was a beta for the PS5, then it was very, very risky.
I don't think it would be. I mean, the whole design of it is completely different.
No, I'm not on about the actual design here. I'm just on about the actual fan curves. Like, just the fan curves and the fan settings. So the fan speeds, basically.
I mean, they can do that without releasing a console. They can test it themselves. I don't think that they would have
but I mean,
risked doing that.
Here's the thing, though. How much data can you get from 5 to 10 people testing compared to millions of people testing? It's like there is no better test than to release it to the public, because then you get everybody testing it in a wide variety of situations. Plus, they would want to get data ready for the PS5 in terms of a real-world environment.
Possibly, but like I said, that'd be a risky move if that's the case, because of all the backlash.
I don't think it would be risky, to be fair. It's like, you can't get backlash worse than the original PS4 for overheating and fan problems.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the backlash they've got for the jet engines already, like, it could well be that is the cause of them trying out the PS5. I don't think it is the case, though. I don't see Sony doing something like that. I don't think...
You think?
They'd take that risk, I don't think, myself.
Either way,
I'm sort of on the fence. I think maybe they could do that, but I don't think they did. I think it's probably in... They would do something like that, but I don't think they did.
Yeah. I mean,
it's probably helped them decide of what to do on the PS5, but I don't think that was their original idea.
Yeah. All in all, though, I don't know whether to... It's like, it's going back to what I said earlier. I don't know whether to be excited or just hopeful, or, you know, like...
It's more hopeful at the moment, isn't it?
I mean, the problem is, like, I've been dealing with companies for a little while now, in terms of, like, just PR stuff and that. And some of the shit they come out with, it's like, you would not believe it. And then it's like, when you actually get the product in your hand, and you're just like... So this is like the complete opposite of what you said. What's the deal? And they're like, not quite. I mean, if you do it in this very specific way, for this, like, very specific reason, then what we said is technically true.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone's got to be aware of as well.
Yeah. They've got to be clever to sell it, so...
That's the big thing, especially with companies as large as Sony.
Really, everyone should just be doing what I'm doing and wait a year.
I think we're going to have a choice, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, there's no pre-orders for this year.
No, yeah.
It's like even people who have pre-orders already are
Jump on board, people.
They're essentially getting told, like, yeah, you're not getting a console this year.
Yeah, and it's also worth talking about the fact that they are sending emails out to these people that have managed to get a pre-order, asking them if they want to swap to digital.
Now, here's the thing. If you pre-ordered the normal PS4 or the Xbox Series X, PS4, the PS5, would you swap over to the digital?
No.
No.
Neither would I.
But they're also doing it to the people that haven't secured a pre-order. So they're in the line. So they're like, say, number 20 in the line. So if 20 people were to retract their pre-order, then they would get one.
Yeah.
They're asking them, if you switch over to digital, we can guarantee you one. So they're also trying to get more sales in that way as well.
I was going to say, I know for Xbox that tactic would work. But with the PS5, I've not actually seen any digitals in stock. Like, the only next-gen console I ever see in stock anywhere is the Xbox Series S. That's the only one I see in stock.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know what their plan is. I'm guessing they know that they're going to get some more digitals, but not more of the...
Well, I imagine the digital
ones.
is easier to produce, and they can produce it in larger quantities due to not having to mess around with the disk drive and that. That would be my guess. But, again, could be completely wrong. Going back to the actual fan noise and like the temperature of the console though, it's not only PlayStation that's having these rumours. Apparently the Xbox is also near silent when it's running. However, that again is very PR sounding. The Xbox is near silent when it's running. No mention of games, nothing like that.
The Xbox One X is like again. I've not really had noise issues with it.
I was going to say that the Xbox doesn't really have much noise issues, so that one wouldn't really surprise me too much. But then, like, if I recall correctly, even the PS3 was fairly loud.
Yeah, the PS3 was. I remember that.
And then PS4 was quite loud. So PS5 is a little bit of a worry to me, but Xbox, I feel like that could be true.
I can't agree with the PS3.
I think the fat models definitely did.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever had like a loud PS3. I have had a loud Xbox. I had a loud Xbox 360. Well, technically, I had two loud Xbox 360s. But I mean, that is like multiple generations ago now. Things have definitely come quite a far way since then. So I can't really say, oh yeah, the Xbox 360 was loud, so this must be loud. You know, it's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, both companies do have a precedent for loud consoles. But here's the thing. Would you rather have a hot console or a quiet console? I mean, a hot console or a loud console?
I mean, they've both got their drawbacks. Hot ones can overheat and crash. Loud ones just ruin your videos if you're doing anything. Or
I'd probably have to go loud one because at least it's not overheating.
Yeah, that would be literally my point as well. I would have to go loud simply due to the fact when consoles are getting hot.
If it becomes that loud as well, that it's an annoyance, you can always just stick headphones on and whatnot. And if you're streaming, if you're using an Elgato, for example, it's not picking up the noise of the loud console, is it? It's picking up the game audio.
Yeah, your mic might.
I suppose your mic might, yeah.
Depends on what mic you've got and stuff, so...
Yeah. But there are ways around that. Like, keep in mind, what you're talking about right now is a problem specifically for content creators, not for users in general. So, if somebody is using it for content creation purposes, there are many, many ways of getting around that noise level. It's like,
stick it in a cupboard?
No. I myself used to have a big problem with noise with the PS4 Pro and that when I was recording a video. Like, it was very blatantly coming through to the mic. All I did was I moved it from the top of my desk to under my desk. And now, because my desk is in the way, it can't hear it. Like, it's got its own little shelf down under the desk. It's got plenty of airflow, all that. It still gets loud. Like, I can personally still hear it, but I always have, like, one headphone off, essentially. So I can always still hear it, but it doesn't get picked up on the mic at all.
Okay.
Whereas if I was actually to use my headphones properly, I wouldn't hear the PS4 at all.
Why not just do that then?
I mean, that's that's with us trying to do stuff to try and not hear it so much. But what about the overheating? Is it, if we're talking about, would you rather overheat or loud?
So,
if it's overheating, is it going to crash in this scenario, or
well, that's
is it
the
just
thing,
going to be a
like,
very hot console?
There's a lot of things that can go wrong with overheating.
So yeah, if we're including that stuff, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
loud overheating.
You mentioned crashing, but that's not only the issue of heat. There's thermal throttling as well, and this is something.
There's potential fires.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is potential fires. But thermal throttling is something that I think console users don't really experience or know much about. Whereas a lot of PC users probably do know more about this. Obviously, there is going to be, the group of console users that know everything about thermal throttling. Like, there's always going to be that case. But with thermal throttling, as the components get hotter, they will essentially lower their own speeds and that. Like, the processor will lower its speed, the GPU will lower its own speed, just to try and lower the temperature of the parts individually, which means worse performance. And this is something, as a user, you have no control over, both on a console and on a PC. You can't force a part to run at 100%, basically, because of the temperature. The only way you can keep it running at 100% is to ensure it's cool and stable at that speed, basically. Now, I'm curious to know, though, if these consoles are going to be so cool as they're reported to be, what are we looking at in terms of actual performance? Like, what are we looking at for thermal throttling? Because when you think about it, it's like, we don't know what games they've tested. We have no idea what games these reports are.
Yeah, I mean, they could have dialed down the settings.
We probably cannot go off it being tested with COD. So that's probably out the window, right?
We would need... I don't even think COD could really push it, to be honest.
No?
I don't think COD could push it. Like, COD has a lot of stuff. Like, it is a fast-paced game. There's a lot of effects going on in the background, a lot of motion going on. But I don't think COD could really push it to 100%.
COD itself, but Warzone, possibly. I mean,
Warzone,
when I started
maybe,
that up on my PS4, that jet engine is
Yeah, it's like, Warzone does have a massive map. But... I don't know, because for something like Warzone, it would have to render the entire map at once, wouldn't it? Because of everybody being on the map all together.
Still doesn't need to render the whole thing, though.
I mean, it kind of does, because if you shoot a sniper, for example, all the way across the map, you can't...
Yeah, so all it's got to do is render the draw distance. So not the whole map, just what you can see. It's like, did you ever play MAG on PS4 or 3, whatever it was? MAG. It was like the first
you mean that, like, 256 versus 250?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would only load certain portions of the map, even though you had 256 people on each team. So, just because of that, I don't think it still needs to.
Quality, though. Keep that in mind.
Say that again, sorry?
MAG was very low quality.
I wouldn't say it was low quality.
I mean, it was pretty low.
I think it was a PS3, so it wasn't great, compared to nowadays.
Yeah, it was definitely PS3 level quality. But we're talking about something on the level of Warzone here, and that is pretty high quality, to be fair. So I think there are definitely differences between the two.
No, I'm just saying that you don't necessarily need... Just because there's other people on the map, you don't necessarily need to load the whole map.
The whole map, yeah.
So it will still just load the
just what each individual person sees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, it's still a demanding game, that one, so it would take a lot out of the PS5.
I reckon if it was running in native 4K and trying to hammer the FPS up to 60, that could, well, then again, with the new hardware that we know is in the console, 4K 60 FPS, it should be able to do it on about 60 to 70% usage, I would say. Yeah. Like if I was doing it on PC, for example, with those specs, and I had Task Manager open, keeping an eye on like what was being used in terms of resources, I would say probably about 60 to 70%, maybe a little bit more, but it shouldn't hit 100.
So what game do you reckon could take the most out of the PS5?
Well, push it to its limits.
Yeah.
Right now, maybe Doom Eternal.
By the way, that's free on Game Pass at the moment.
I think Doom could do
cool.
it because Doom does, well, I mean on PC anyway, Doom does have some insanely high settings. And
Yeah, but are we going to have the same settings on the PS5?
Probably not.
Because usually you don't get the ultra.
Yeah, I mean, probably not, no. But what I'm saying is, they could take that and they could, in the background, up the settings to get a proper, like, 100% usage. I was saying that, I mean, it's Sony, like, well, Sony and Microsoft, at the end of the day, they're going to have software they just plug into the console on a USB stick, which will automatically force everything to 100% usage. They don't need a game for it. But the one thing I am worried about, though, is what are the limits for thermal throttling? Because I don't want to be in the middle of a game like I'm enjoying it. You know, it's like I've got really high, nice, good frame rates, really high quality. You know, like, say, the next COD, for example. Like, you know, I'm playing that. I don't want all of a sudden for it to turn into a slideshow, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that is something that consoles do need to get right. Both the PlayStation and the Xbox.
I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to have that issue anywhere near the release, because they would have got the consoles ready for the games that are out now. Maybe in a couple of years' time, when they've got games going even higher specs, maybe we might get an issue.
Maybe when they've had more time to play around with it, basically.
Yeah, whereas at the moment, all of these are going to be running perfectly fine, I reckon.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see an issue yet.
If we do, then they've really messed up the console.
We shouldn't be able to see an issue yet.
No.
I mean, keep in mind though, like, we can predict...
These are games that can run on a PS4.
Well, yeah. But we can predict issues like this, and they could actually be negated by a pro version of the console. You know, like higher speeds, better clock rates, and things like that. It's like, what we're talking about right now could be a possible problem for the normal PS5, but that's not to say anything about a new model console that could be much better.
Well, did we see the same thing before the PS4 Pro came out? Did we see the PS4 struggle with the same issue?
The PS4 was struggling day one, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's like even when you go into the PS Store, sometimes you could be like jittering all over the place stuff.
To be fair, though, one thing I've noticed, and I noticed this on the PS3 as well, and you can call me a conspiracy theorist or not, I don't care, but this is the way I see it. So, you know how, like, phone manufacturers and that, like, especially Apple. Apple's the big one, because they've been sued over this.
They slow down the console.
No, that they, well, in Apple's case, they basically reduce the lifespan of the battery, don't they, to get people to buy the latest model iPhone.
So do you think Sony do that with their consoles?
I do, because I've noticed it on the PS3 and the PS4. But it's specifically on the UI and the PlayStation Store. So, way before a new console released, I had no problems navigating the UI, no problems on the PlayStation Store or anything like that.
Is this why I've noticed it takes a little bit longer than it used to load the PlayStation Store?
This is essentially my train of thought. Because it's like, PS4 came out, but because there was nothing really good on the PS4, and I was still recording PS3 games at the time, the PS3, like, it just went to shit, basically, almost overnight. It just went super slow and sluggish, dead unresponsive, and the PlayStation Store kept crashing a lot. And this was with me changing nothing on the PS3. It just happened literally overnight. Now, the PS4, when that came out, when it released, it did have its problems at first with responsiveness and that, but they did quickly fix that, in my opinion. Then it got to the point where I was fine on the PS4. Like, the UI was fast, it was smooth. PS4 Store, no problems, you know? It was like all fast, responsive, and smooth again. Whereas now, I shit you not, this past month, it's gone dead fucking slow. Both the UI and the store. Well, especially the store. The store's gone dead unresponsive for me.
The PS4?
Mm-hmm.
And all coincidentally into the lead up of the release of the PS5?
Mm-hmm. And
I mean, I'll be honest. I've always had an issue with the speed of my UI on the PS4 Pro.
See, I've not had an issue with it on either the original PS4 or the Pro. Because Sophie, my sister, she's got my old original PS4. And even she said it's gotten dead slow this past month or so.
See, this one I don't have any issues still. It's like going a knife through butter. So I don't know if it's your console specific. Like, it could just be getting dusty or...
No,
the issue I'm having
it's
with
definitely not dust in my PS4 Pro. Like, I do clean that out quite often.
The issue I'm having with mine is I can navigate around the dashboard fine, around the home screen fine, It's once the PS Store's open. Not only does it take longer than usual to open the PS Store, but the navigation around the store is then slower.
It's like it's unresponsive, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
more just delayed.
Yeah, like you hit down, for example, to scroll down through the menu, and then it'll be delayed for like half a second, and then you can see how it's not like a smooth flow through of the menu. It's like it's jumping, it's like basically. It's
glitchy
not,
sort of thing.
Yeah, like it's not loading a smooth roll down. It's just jumping like pitches.
So you think up in the lead up of the PS5 release, then they have been like slowing down
I think so.
Previous consoles?
I think so because it's basically putting into people's minds like, this is kind of slow, but the next gen console's meant to be super fast. It's like these are the bullshit marketing tactics that companies have used for a long time.
I mean, Apple do it like it says. It wouldn't surprise me. I just hope that's not the case.
I mean, I can't comment on the Xbox because I haven't had an Xbox since the 360.
James, did you say you've had no issue with it?
I've had no issue with the PS4, but the PS4 Pro I've had issues for well over a year.
Right.
One I have to like wait for like 10 seconds before I can really use the PS Store, for instance, because it takes ages to load it all up. Whereas this one, perfect.
See, I do just want to point out one thing. There are actually a couple of people in chat right now that are saying they're experiencing the same issue. Just a sudden slowdown.
Yeah, Merc said he's had a similar issue.
There's also Zogia, similar issue.
But do you reckon it could be because they're moving the servers, like they're messing with the servers? So because they've got the PS5 coming out, they need to get everything, like the PSN, everything onto the PS5. They've not got unlimited space, for God's sake.
I don't think they would use the same servers. I don't think they would be able to use the same servers.
It depends. If they're trying to allow a lot of PS4 online games, like PSN games, to work on there, they've got to copy everything over. It could be messing up with the servers. It could be a temporary thing.
The way I think they would do it is they would have new servers for the PS5. Just because of obviously there's the new architecture in the PS5. So I think they would create new servers for that and then they would migrate it over.
Yeah, so do you think that could be happening?
I mean, on a hardware level, yes, it could happen. Because obviously as the copy process is running over, like that is using the system resources of the server. But I feel like Sony would know about this and they wouldn't do so much so fast. You know, I think they would do it as more a slow migration.
I mean, how much of a hindrance is it that at the moment? Like, is it literally like with my PS4, just wait 10 seconds and it's fine?
For me, it's not too much for me. I can complain about it, but it's more nitpicking, if I'm honest. I can deal with it.
Yeah, like, it's just a case of it's not smooth and it's delayed, you know? Like,
It's the fact that at one point it was smooth and now it's not.
Right, let me put it into a way that you would understand, James, because I think this would probably be the best way of explaining it.
Talk to me like a kid.
Right, so
right.
You know with your PC, like when you used to do like even better, your old laptop, your old original laptop, when you were like editing on it or recording on it, that was that was a goddamn snail, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like all the resources are maxed out and it's struggling to do anything.
But what I mean is that constant, or is it like if you give it a couple of seconds, it will sort itself out?
It depends on the menu, I've noticed. So the main original menu, where all the individual different options are, it's the worst. Once you get into the like actual say games page, for example, where it lists all the games in like a free grid, like a 3x3 grid in there. It's slow on there for the first couple of seconds, but then it does sort of smooth out. It might jump every now and again, but mostly it's smooth there.
We've had different issues then, because the game page where you're on about the grid, I've had no issues on that. Mine's mainly with the home page of the.
I mean, as I say, it's only as soon as I get onto the game page. Like just for 1 or 2 seconds, like it takes a little bit longer to load. That's all, and then it is pretty smooth throughout that.
I think it's them copying stuff over from the servers. I don't think it's.
I mean, I'd
like to think that Sony wouldn't do that.
Like,
I mean,
I could be completely wrong.
To be honest with you, it's still not an issue, especially for me. It's not a big enough of an issue for me to go out and buy a PS5. Anyway, I'm still happy waiting a year. I can deal with. It's a small. It's a minor.
The only problem would be when it becomes like the PS3. Now, I can't talk about anybody else on a PS3 that they have at the moment. My PS3, every time I try to get on the PlayStation Store on the PS3, it crashes. Like, the PS3 itself doesn't crash, but the store crashes. And then I either have to wait a good 5 minutes for it to unfreeze and try again, or I have to actually unplug it and plug it back in.
My PS3 had that issue right before I sold it to some poor family that has to have the same issue.
Yeah, to be fair, I remember mine having that same issue as well.
See, mine didn't have that until about a year after the PS4 came out. Like, it did slow down around the PS4 launch, but it wasn't until way after that it became really, really bad.
So do you think they've been doing this from the PS3 since then?
I genuinely think so.
If they're doing this.
As I say, I mean, yeah, it's definitely very conspiracy theorist. Like, I will completely agree with that. But I honestly do think so. Because it's not an uncommon practice for the technology market. Because Apple have done it, Samsung have done it. Everybody's doing it, basically.
It is a marketing strategy to get you to buy the next level of tech, basically.
Yeah. So while I have no idea for sure, it's just a theory that I'm jumping on, you know? Like, it's just what I'm assuming to be fact. I can't say for sure. Just what I've personally experienced.
It's a good question, though, to be fair. Because, yeah, that could be something that they're doing. I don't think it is.
Especially if multiple people are having the same issue. Like, there's
if it is,
Alan,
as
and
well.
a few in chat. And that's from a small sample size.
If that is not a theory and fact, then how long would that mean that the PS5 would last if they're planning to do that from now on going forward?
About 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, console lifespans are typically 5 to 6
years.
But in
theory, though, if they didn't do that, then the lifespans would be a hell of a lot longer, right?
I mean, they still are. You can still use them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
I mean, yeah, but...
I know people who still have a PS1 for playing...
Nintendo 64. Like, come on.
Oh, God,
yeah.
Like, you can't beat a 64. So, yeah, I mean...
These consoles still work.
One thing to point out, though, if you guys noticed, consoles with no online last a lot longer.
Yeah, but that's because you're relying on the servers. So, for instance, if Sony decided to turn off the PS3
servers... I'm on about
actual
lifespans of the console.
Then, yeah, 100%. Like, PS3s had to go through a load, PS4s...
So I think it could be
that I only ever had one.
I think
PS1
it could be
ever
something
one.
they're doing an update then to purposely slow it down.
I just think it's because it's got more power in it. That's all.
Well, then what's stopping them from getting sued like Apple is?
No one's dug around and found it yet.
Yeah.
Until now.
Thing is, I mean, the consoles are getting jailbroken. Like, PS4
we need to find out if this is a fact so we can have an exclusive on the show.
I mean, to be fair, the PS4 took a long time to get jailbroken, but now that it is jailbroken, people can go through the data. So if they have put anything in the code of, like, the actual software for the PS4, people will find it eventually. But I just
should have found it by now, to be honest.
I mean, I don't think it's really one of them things that people would go looking for. You know, it's like...
But it doesn't need to be in the code. It could be in the update.
That's what I mean. It's like... It's one of them things, like, when you think about jailbreaks and that, people typically do it because they either want to play pirated games or they want to play modded games. It's like, that is pretty much the main reason for a jailbreak on console.
On about updates for the consoles, do you think they should be optional? Because at the moment, you can't actually play anything online if there's a system software update. You need to do the update, right?
I think they should remain... required.
It's not every single one.
So it shouldn't be the way that Windows is then, where the updates is optional. It's like don't do the updates.
Windows updates aren't optional, dude. Windows updates are not optional.
No, you can sort of prolong them out for a little bit.
You can prolong them, but ever since Windows 10, you cannot strictly deny updates, which, if you ask me, is bullshit.
You can do if you have anything above home. Only the home one can't.
You can't completely do it.
You can block them from auto doing it.
You can block them from auto doing it, but some specific updates are still forced.
No, they're not, because remember, I'm still on that fucking update from God knows when.
Yeah,
like fucking 3 years ago.
What I mean is, like,
my won't let me. So
no. So there are some security updates and things like that Microsoft can force all Windows to use, including server.
Security updates, yeah, that's different. But in terms of the actual,
it's typically security updates that keep breaking Windows. It's like, remember that update they did ages ago, which was randomly deleting everybody's documents folder. So the actual documents folder.
No, I didn't get that far.
You logged out then. You logged out then.
He's still updating.
I am.
He's
I'm
been
on,
stuck
like,
on an
19
update for
something
like
or other.
4 years. Like he generally cannot update past this update. Every time he downloads it, it bricks his PC for ages.
So I have to roll it back and. But yeah, that's what I mean. So you don't need to do them on Windows because I'm still on that fucking update from God knows when. So
Yeah, but you've reset like God knows how many times. To be fair.
I've not reset. I've just reverted back to where it was before the
Yeah,
update.
but you can't do that on console. Plus,
No,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
another
question.
thing. That's another thing. Should you be allowed that to revert back to a previous update on console?
no, makes they won't do it because of security reasons. It makes jailbreaking too easy, and they will
That's
not
true.
do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's how you essentially jailbreak consoles now. You basically need to get a console below a specific update. You can't do it past a certain point because the security is different. So you can't modify it in that way. So if they were to allow you to choose what version you are on, then they would
But
essentially
if
just
you are
have easy
choosing though,
access.
that's not their responsibility, is it?
It technically is,
actually-
because the PS5
No,
is
that-
still technically their intellectual property. They don't
Yeah,
want
yeah.
the secrets getting out, basically. It's
Yeah,
like
see, I was thinking
all-
more of like, if you revert back to a previous update, then the risks of that is in your hands.
Yeah, but you also got pirated
yeah.
games if they jailbreak and so on.
That's what I
They're
mean.
going to
It's
lose a ton of
like,
money.
Sony will not let you do that. Sony, Microsoft, no console manufacturer will let you do that. In fact, speaking of something a little bit like this, did you guys hear about how Bowser got arrested?
Bowser is in.
Bowser, as in
As
the
in-
Mario
Yeah,
character.
you know, Mario's Bowser. He got arrested.
Well, it's about time.
Guess why? Guess why?
Kidnapping Peach.
Forget about why. How do you arrest a computer character?
Okay, so it's not actually the computer character, but it's someone called Bowser, and it's actually kind of funny. So he got arrested for essentially jailbreaking Nintendo Switches, like modding Nintendo Switches. So Microsoft essentially went after one of their mascots for jailbreaking their own console. And it's like, I've been seeing reports of this for the past few days, and it's one of the funniest things
Microsoft?
ever. Nintendo.
Microsoft.
Nintendo.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah,
Microsoft's mascot is
Nintendo. I'm
Bowser.
not with it. I'm not with it. But yeah, so they've essentially arrested him and 2 other people from the Executor group, who were
Was
like,
the other person Mario by any chance?
And
No,
Luigi.
I can't remember their names. I can't remember their names. But no, it was so funny when I saw the headlines. All I saw was Nintendo arrested Bowser for what was it? What was the end? It was something Switch, and as soon as I saw it, I burst out laughing, and I had to start reading into it. It was
According
so
to the
funny.
according to the comments, the rumor is that Nintendo won 2 million from that.
That was a different case. That was a different case, not this one. That was a
Jesus.
previous case against the same group. They originally tried to sue the group themselves, but they lost that. So they sued the shops essentially selling the modded hardware, basically, and they won 2 million from that.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
Now they've actually arrested the creators of the mod. And it's not like a simple arrest either. Like, they full on like extradite.
Extradited?
Yeah, that's it.
Extradited?
But yeah, like they're really going ham on these 3 people. It's like these 3 people are from 3 different countries, and they're literally doing everything they can to get their hands around their neck. It's like they're taking this beyond seriously.
I mean, I suppose they have to, really. They're just proving
for a
that they're not
bigger
going to take any bullshit.
You got to make an example of them.
Yeah, there is that. But thing is, like, there's always going to be people doing this.
Oh, yeah, there'll be
they
more
can
people.
they can make an example out of them all they want. There's still going to be your local guy who can
You're not
weld
going
a
to be able to
chicken.
arrest everybody. If one person does it, the next person will do it, and so on.
But no, I that's just one of the things I thought was pretty funny, to be fair.
Bowser gets arrested.
Yeah, it's like, I saw that, and it's
He's
just like,
not having a
dude.
peachy time anymore, is he?
Oh, man. It's like, I can't even describe how funny it was when I first saw it. It's like, Bowser arrested by Nintendo, and I was like, what? It's like, it's one of those things that you see and you're just like, you know, it's like, you turn your head so confused, and then you're just like, what is going on here?
I really want the other guy to be a plumber or something.
Oh, I think we should probably move on now.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to talk about, though. So, there has been, once again, another rumour. That's all we seem to be talking about this week, rumours. There has been a rumour about the PS5 internal storage size leaked. Now, originally it was marketed at 825 gig. We already thought that was pretty shitty because of how small it was. The rumour shows a screenshot of the supposed PS5 storage screen, and that is showing a maximum storage of 664 gig, which, need I remind you, is only a little bit more than the PS4 originally released at.
Yeah, the PS4 was released at like 500 once.
Yeah, it was 500.
About 450 usable, 450, 470 usable.
Yeah.
A few things to keep in note, though. On this screenshot, the nearly 200 gig that is missing is not for system settings or anything like that. It's not for the OS. Because on the actual screenshot, it clearly shows a part that has 3 gigabytes used for the OS. So this is just straight up 200 gig missing. Now, I know with the way that storage is calculated, there's always going to be some missing. It's like, you get a 1 terabyte hard drive, you do not get 1 terabyte in storage. There is always some missing, just because of the way it's calculated, like the way bits and that are calculated and that. So you're never going to get the full size.
Could they not compress it?
What do you mean?
Could they not compress the size, giving you a bit more storage, a bit more usable storage?
We don't even know why this 200 gigs missing. Like, this is way more than overhead. Like,
This is something they need to address. They need to put everyone's mind at rest or tell us why this is the case. I don't see what would need 200 gigabytes.
No. But, I mean, even then, like, the fact it's not showing, like, even in the actual storage, like, even if it showed but it was used by the OS, because, I mean, even on the PS4, you can see all the OS settings in there. You can't delete that. You can't delete that. That is always there on your PS4. However, on this PS5 screenshot, that was there, but it was only 3 gig, and that did show up as used in the image. But there was still 200 gig missing. Now, that is way too much for simple size calculations. That is literally a case of the storage is missing. So,
I mean, we need to bear in mind that it didn't show that it was actually a PS5. It could be a PS4. It could be a Photoshop. It could be someone's put their own hard drive into a PS4 that only has that much free space.
So here's where I was getting to. From the image, it does look fake. To me, it looks fake. Because
it is in Russian as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in Russian. But we'll get to why the Russian part is important after this.
Okay.
So the reason I think it looks fake is a couple of very simple reasons. First of all, the layout is identical to the PS4 apart from one change. They've basically swapped the sides. So you've got your menu on the opposite side now, basically, and your storage on the other side. That's essentially all that's different. Not only that, the background of it looks also identical to the PS4. Now, that could be what the actual PS5 UI is like.
Yeah, there wasn't a huge difference between PS3 and PS4, so...
There was a pretty big difference between them two.
In terms of inside the menus.
I'd still say there was a bit of a difference.
A bit, but not much, so I wouldn't be hugely shocked.
But another reason why I think it's fake is it's a camera screenshot of a TV. Now, one thing I noticed is that TV is exactly the same as the supposed leaker of the PS5 startup screen. Now, that PS5 startup screen is...
Are they the same TVs?
Yeah. From
how
I can tell, it looks like the identical TV. But yeah, this PS5 startup screen looks extraordinarily fake. And the only reason I think it looks fake, because of the controller he's holding. You can very easily tell that's a fake controller shell. Like, that's just somebody's 3D printed it, basically. You can tell it's a very poor design of it. So, again, that's why I think the intro is fake, and also why I think this image is fake as well.
let's say it is fake, which it more than likely is. But what would you think of that as a startup screen if that was to become the case?
I wouldn't care. I honestly wouldn't care, to be fair.
Yeah,
No?
first off, I don't care what it is, and secondly, that it just looked a bit amateur to me. It didn't look like PlayStation.
Yeah,
It looked like an
definitely
effect from
wasn't.
After
See,
Effects.
I like a good startup screen. I do.
I mean, they're all right, but you just get so used to it in the end, to be fair.
I usually turn my PlayStation on before I turn the TV on. It's like, I don't care. I don't really see it.
That's the thing, it's like, with me, like, I just have my PlayStation connected to the monitor. I'll turn my PlayStation on, and I'm still doing stuff on the PC at the time, so when I actually flip over, it's already on the home screen.
Oh no, yeah, I know what you mean. But for new consoles, I tend to like to watch the startup. I get some enjoyment out of the startup of a new console for some reason.
So, like the first time you see it, you mean?
Yeah,
I mean, I can understand.
Yeah, yeah.
I can understand that. But I don't think... I don't think it's real. Like James said, it's too amateurish. It's like you get a couple of lens flares floating around the screen, and then it goes to a selection for the profile on that. That's not Sony. That is not Sony. Plus the disclaimer warning was literally just plain white text on a plain black background.
And it's also black and orange, whereas I would think that they would try and incorporate the colors of the console into it.
White and black.
yeah.
So it's very, contradicting.
Very
So I don't think it is real.
Yeah,
at all.
I don't think it is either.
I think these are possibly dev kits. I reckon they could have... The dev kit's probably got a smaller hard drive. I reckon they've probably got a random-ass startup screen. It could be anything like that, or it's just completely fake. But it's definitely not real.
With 664 gig, to me, even with the overhead, I think it might be a 750 gig hard drive, which are extremely rare, but you can get them. But I don't know what the missing overhead is on a drive like that, because I've never had a drive like that.
That usable storage screenshot, it is said in that article that is of a dev kit, and anything can change up to the final.
Okay,
final
so
console.
That is a dev kit then.
Yeah.
I mean, a dev kit wouldn't need much space.
No, because they're just working on one game sort of thing, so...
Yeah, because, I mean, they would pretty much just use it to run the game itself, to test it and make sure it's working.
Yeah.
So...
So that that could be legit, that one. The startup screen's definitely not real.
No. The startup screen's obviously fake.
The fact that they're both the same TVs, though, would just be a coincidence.
I mean, keep in mind, that's just my guess. Like, they look like the same TV. I mean, there are a lot of TVs that look alike, but are completely different models. So I could be 100% completely wrong there. But I don't like the size. I don't like the size. It's too small.
Again, it might not be the final size. 200 gig.
I mean,
missing
no.
seems like a lot.
Even then, like, Sony have already announced 825 gig. That's what Sony have announced. That in and of itself is too small.
You install Warzone, and that's already 200 gig.
That's what I mean.
200 gigabytes gone.
You get COD. You get the new
Bigger than
COD.
that.
You
It's bigger
install
than
it.
that. You're bordering about 250, aren't you?
Yeah, well, including the game itself, yeah. Probably more,
Plus,
around 300.
keep in mind, PS5 files will be a little bigger. Not much bigger, but they're still going to be a bit bigger. So, look at this new COD. That's going to have Warzone, it's going to have zombies, it's going to have multiplayer, it's going to have the campaign. All these new higher textures, all that sort of stuff. This is probably going to hit about 300 gig.
This makes sense,
That's
actually.
half
You know
your
why?
size gone.
Do you know why this makes sense?
Go on.
So you can go out and buy the PlayStation exclusive SSD.
More than likely.
They're the ones that have turned around and said that there are SSDs you can get that will work in the PlayStation. You don't have to buy PlayStation specific ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
That contradicts what we read.
They're going to be very expensive, but you can get ones that aren't related to PS5.
the thing,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So what
So it
I
wouldn't really make sense for that.
What I think you would need is an NVMe drive with very specific read and write speeds. So you can't just go out and buy any low-end NVMe drive because it's going to be too slow. I think you're going to need something more like a Samsung 970, like a 970 Evo or something like that. Something that's bordering on like 3-4 gigs a second read and write speeds. But for something like that, for 2 terabyte, I mean, you're talking 400 to 600 quid. So the prices are steep.
For more than the actual system it costs itself.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate NVMe drives. They are very expensive. The performance is very, very good, but they are very, very expensive.
I mean, at the moment, it feels like everyone's going to be using external hard drives.
Is the PS5 coming with an SSD card, or is it just an empty SSD slot, and that memory that we saw is without the SSD card?
No. So that is the internal SSD.
That's the internal. Okay.
Yes. So
Got ya.
there's going to be an internal SSD, and then there is going to be another slot for you to add to it, basically.
Yeah.
But one thing we should point out is it's only NVMe for PS5. It's no 2.5 SSD or anything like that. It's only NVMe.
All right. So it wasn't PlayStation exclusive SSD cards. It's NVMe exclusive.
No.
No. So NVMe is a sort of SSD, essentially.
Yeah. But that's you're only going to be able to take an NVMe.
And it has to be a specific
on the
one.
PlayStation. It has to be a
So
specific
you
NVMe.
can't just get any old NVMe.
Yeah,
It has to
so
be specific.
you can't just go buy like £100 NVMe with like a gig read and write speeds, essentially.
So there is some kind of restrictions around what SSD.
There's
cards you can get
restrictions,
then.
yeah, but you don't necessarily have to buy it from Sony.
No. Okay.
So that's where it's a bit. Would they make you do that? Especially with the price of these hard drives themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
I don't think they would do that.
Well, Merck's actually just put in chat, a 2TB 970 Evo is $679.99. It's on sale right now for $499.
So I think what
might
Sony
snag
will
one
do
of them
is
up
they'll
later, actually, if they're on sale.
they'll release. I reckon they'll release some Sony specific ones which are cheaper than these.
Maybe.
I don't know, because that's adding Sony's brand to it.
But that's what Sony want, though, don't they?
Yeah, and if it's cheaper,
Yeah,
people
they
will pay
typically-
for it, and then they'll get their money back through the games and so on.
Here's the thing, though.
As
like,
always.
It depends on the price. Because when you get to a certain size with, like, a certain read and write speed, it's going to be expensive no matter who makes it. Now, if maybe they lower the speed a little bit, just to sort of the bare minimum for PlayStation, and they charge 50 quid less, 50 to 100 quid less, I'm still going to go the Samsung one, even though it's more expensive, just because it's going to be faster. Because it's like, there are still differences
it would make
in
sense,
speed.
though. It would make sense for Sony to release their own, a cheaper
'cause-
option that isn't as fast. For
So
people who can't afford...
I don't think so for one reason. They've been down this route. Anybody... Well, you never had a Vita, did you, Al? But you did, James.
Yeah,
No, I
for like
don't
2 weeks.
for like
So-
2 weeks.
The
Yeah.
Vita had specific memory cards. You had to get a Sony specific memory card. Aside from the fact they were near impossible to get at one point, they were expensive as hell. Like,
But this
they
is
were
different.
Majorly
Yeah, this is
overpriced.
different. This isn't exclusively Sony SSDs.
No,
yeah,
no,
like you
what,
could buy it
what
for your
I'm
PC
saying
sort of
is-
thing as well if you wanted. I don't see why not. But
Yeah, I suppose.
if I was Sony, it would make sense for us. If you buy a Samsung hard drive, you've now given Samsung your money, and that's it. They never see you again. You buy the Sony one for the PlayStation, you're now going to put games onto it because it's a bigger hard drive. You're going to buy more
end up going
games.
to the shop, paying them more money for the games.
Therefore, they're
Yeah.
getting more money from you. So it would
Come
make
full
sense.
circle. It'll come full circle. It would make sense.
So
I guess.
I hope they would do that. So they're not making people go out and spend
They'd sell
500
it
quid
for
for a hard
cheap.
drive.
They'd sell it for cheap,
I mean-
so that they can buy 60, 70 pound games and get the money that way.
One thing we
Yeah.
do have to mention as well, though, you can still use a normal hard drive with the PS5.
You can, but it won't run as
externally
well.
only. It won't run as well, but you can use it as a storage and just copy over when you want to play that specific game. Which will obviously still be faster than re-downloading and then installing it. 'cause
So
you've
I
already
can
got it
I can
downloaded.
use my current external storage.
You can, just don't play a game
as,
from it.
as a storage,
play-
yes, you
No,
will.
no, yeah, as only as a storage.
Yeah. You should be able to... Wait, what connection is your hard drive? Because it's only Type-C they're allowing.
Shit, I don't know. Whatever the PS4 is, I can't remember what the PS4 is.
USB-A.
Yeah, USB or USB 3. So, probably not. Because I believe you can only use Type-C connections.
Man!
Which is a bit of a ball.
But going on from this, what sort of dilemma is it going to give the people that buy the digital-only version of the
That's
console?
the thing. Like,
And they're only getting 600 gigs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they're
like-
not good.
well,
Yeah, go on.
let's look at the release games. They get COD, boom, Warzone multiplayer campaign, 300 gig, just like that. You've now got half your storage. It's like, let's say they do another game, 100 gig, boom, you've got 2 games and you've got about 200 gig left. And you've got to keep in mind any media like pictures, music, videos.
All I can think of is this will do people for a little while until a Pro has to come out with a higher storage.
I don't think the Pro will come out with that much of a higher storage.
It has to.
I mean, it has to, but I don't think it will. I think they'll just do like they did on the PS4. They'll bump it up a little. It's like when the PS4 did 1 terabyte, I was like, that's still pretty low. Because it's like 1 terabyte is 12 to 13 AAA games. Unless you're talking COD, and then you just lose like 200 gig just at the snap of a finger. I mean, that's a meme at this point. That's got to be a meme. What even comes close to that in file size?
Nothing. I mean, that's been a meme for a while.
It's like, how big's Destiny? Wait, no, Destiny's not that big actually, is it?
Destiny was pretty big, but now they've taken half the game away. When it comes to PS5, I think they've released that it's going to be around 70 gig, which is next to nothing, especially for a PS5 game.
That's what I would actually expect a normal PS5
Actually,
game to be.
a few games are now actually putting updates onto the games that halves the size of it. I know Warframe is doing it, or has done it, where it halved the size.
So it
of the actual game.
sounds then like there's maybe a new compression.
Yeah, I think so. And I know at least 2 or 3 others have done it. I don't know how many are actually doing it, but it does sound like they're compressing the size of the games with updates.
So
I think they announced that, if I remember correctly, because of how fast the hard drives are and the way that the PlayStation works. They can compress them, and they can uncompress a lot quicker, and therefore it doesn't affect the game.
This could be very, very interesting, though. If they've actually got a new compression method for both the PS4 and the PS5, then we've talked about before about the game sizes being essentially the same, like 50 to 70 gig on the PS4 and PS5, yeah? If the PS5 is using a new compression method, which on PS4 is essentially halving the actual size, then the PS5 installs are essentially nearly double what we actually have on the PS4 right now without this compression method.
Yeah, I expect that pretty much.
But that's not going to come until updates to the game.
Yeah, I mean, it will be on a game-by-game basis.
You will still be downloading these massive-sized games and then just waiting for the updates.
Honestly,
No,
I
think
don't
they're
mind
compressed from the get-go.
They'll be compressed from the get-go.
The PS5 should be compressed from the get-go, yeah. If they're already rolling it out on PS4 games, the PS5's got to have it already, for sure.
Well, hopefully.
Let's just hope they do it to Warzone. Could you imagine if Warzone already had this compression from the get-go, and it's actually like a 500 gig install?
It's just ridiculous at this point. They need to cut some of that down.
You know what's funny though? There was I can't remember what it was, but there was a game that released on the PC, and I remember it being like 100 gig or 150 gig or something like that, because it used like pure uncompressed audio just for maximum quality in that, and everybody memed about it like, oh my god, this is huge, like you've got like 80 gigs worth of sound files here, and now it's like we're on a console game that's like fucking 200 gig. It's like,
yeah, it's ridiculous, and it's only going to get higher and higher.
Yeah, because it's like they aren't removing the old seasonal stuff. They just keep adding instead of taking the old crap away that's not even used anymore. Which is definitely... it's going to bite them in the arse. Although
they'll sort it out eventually. They're not going to let it go up to like a 500 gig file for one game.
I mean, we hope. Keep in mind the game is yearly.
Where can you see the future of gaming consoles getting to in terms of storage? Can you see a future where we end up having a console of like 5 terabytes system storage?
This is one of those things you can't speculate on at the moment. Storage is moving so fast. I mean, just recently there was an SSD announced which was 100 terabyte. Now, granted, that costs more than the fucking house I'm living in at the moment.
Yeah.
But it still shows just what level of technology we are at.
Sam, what happens when you buy that house that you're living in? You're going to sell it and then buy that SSD?
Dude, I'd need to sell this house, my car, and my kid need to buy that SSD.
I may be homeless, but at least I have this.
Yeah, and it's like, it's so small, I can't even live in the box afterwards.
But I would like to see them actually get like cloud gaming going properly. So your hard drives don't need to be. I mean, it's going to take a while to get it perfect, but it would be nice to see that. And then obviously you can have the option for a bigger hard drive for those that don't have great internet or whatever, but those that do cloud gaming. I don't want to see 10 terabyte fucking hard drives in consoles.
I'm still not sold on cloud gaming.
You don't want to see 10 terabytes in consoles.
Oh,
no, because it's just going to bring up the price of the consoles more and more.
Not necessarily. Keep in mind, as technology advances, things will get cheaper. It's like, look at the price.
Yes, old things will get cheaper. Look at this console, for instance. It's using the new technology. Look at the price for the hard drive.
Yes, but keep in mind... Right, so I already mentioned the price of the 870, didn't I? The 970, sorry. Now, when that originally came out, that was about $1,500. All NVMEs, when they came out, were very, very high-end expensive prices. But obviously, you know, a year goes by, the prices drop like bricks. 2 years go by, prices are still dropping. And now it's only really like the true top tier that are still expensive. It's like, hard drives are one of those things that the technology evolves very, very quickly, but the price also drops very, very quickly. We just need that one big breakthrough, which might actually be coming. There is a rumor that pretty soon there will be an SSD with a full petabyte of storage. Now, if that comes out, then I think hard drives in general will get much cheaper for much bigger sizes.
No, they won't, because people can't afford that.
No, keep in mind. Keep in mind, I'm not saying you're going to buy a petabyte of storage as a general consumer.
Businesses will buy them, but that's about it. So it's not going to bring down the price of anything else because there's no competition.
Listen, this is what I'm saying. I'm not on about this individual drive coming out is going to make everything cheaper. I'm saying the technology that allows them to create a petabyte storage in one SSD.
Okay.
Because it's like, a petabyte in storage is massive. You can get a petabyte in storage right now, and you essentially need a full server. Well, not a full server rack. You need a full U2 server for a petabyte of storage. Now, James, you know how big a U2 is, right?
A U2?
Yeah, like a U2 rack. A U2 server rack. Yeah. Alan, I assume you're just completely clueless right now with the way you're looking. Okay, so... It's essentially like a big long rectangle that's like that, basically. And all you put in there is essentially hard drives.
Hard drives.
Like big, massive hard drives, like 20 terabyte plus hard drives.
Okay, these tall towers that you see in server rooms of big buildings and at the back of the offices and shit. They
have multiple in them. So what you see in that tower...
You swap them out, basically.
Yeah, it's like what you see in that tower is... Well, I mean, that's like the server chassis and that. And inside there, you have racks, which you will have the individual servers in.
I've seen them.
I think a normal server tower, you can get 5 U2s in or something like that. But essentially all it is it's like 40 massive hard drives all in one box.
Yeah, I've seen them. I just didn't know they're called U2s.
U2 is like the size, basically. So they're typically used for storage. But at the moment, that is typically the only way to get a petabyte of storage.
But now they're going to fit it into something that big.
Essentially, yeah. Now, that is a technological jump of the century in terms of storage.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
just compress everything.
Yeah! So once they make that, how big are hard drives and SSDs going to get? Well, hard drives probably not much bigger, because, I mean, that's disk-based.
SSDs will always get bigger, though.
That's what I mean. It's like SSDs are going to get a massive jump. It's like, I think we're going to start seeing 10 terabyte SSDs as a norm. Probably within the next 5 years.
5-10 years.
5 years, I'd say. Like, we're already seeing 4 terabyte SSDs become pretty common now. There's a lot of SSDs that are 8.92 terabytes. You can even get 12 terabyte SSDs. They're about, I think they're like
stupid money.
$3,000, but you can get them. So I reckon in 5 years' time, sizes are going to get massive.
I mean, I can sort of understand where James was coming from now, though. Like, it's getting a bit ridiculous.
I mean, thing is though, even on cloud gaming, like you're still going to need big storage. Like it's just the only difference is it's not going to be you as the consumer who has to have the storage.
Exactly. That's what I want.
Yeah.
You get your server rooms, stream it to my console. That's good.
I mean, what's the difference really? It just means you can't play if you can't get online.
It means my console's cheaper.
But that's not necessarily.
At the end of the day, I'm not paying for the hard drive. Like you say, I get what you're saying, but you got to think when the next console comes out. All right, 4 years down the line, whilst that console's been out, those hard drives are going to be a lot cheaper. But on the day of release, you're paying for that price for that high end.
You're not paying much for the storage in a console. You're paying for the CPU and the GPU.
At the moment, because you're getting 1 terabyte. If they get that up to 10 terabytes or something, you're going to be paying a lot more.
Well, no, because when they actually go up to 10 terabytes, they're going to be super commonplace and probably like a couple hundred. You know? It's like now...
You're not taking into the factor of the increase. Like, so right now,
I think
you can get an SSD.
I think you're trying to compare today's prices to wherever they might be when these
I'm comparing the growth.
Drives are
so
common.
Today, you can buy an SSD, 1 terabyte, for probably about £100.
I mean, you can get it cheaper than that. You can get them for about 50 quid.
They've not put an SSD 1 terabyte in the PS5 because that's old news. Now you've got the NVMe, whatever it is. That's why that's in there, because it's the best, and that's very expensive. 10 years down the line, next console, whatever.
I mean,
they're going to put an NVMe in there. They're going to put that next one that's really expensive in there.
It depends. It depends because the way storage is going now is it's all NAND flash basically. So the appearance of an NVMe might change, the connection might change, but essentially it's still the same thing basically. Like
it's still the same as an SSD. It's just faster.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, but look at the price difference. This is what I'm saying. It's going to get a lot more expensive. If they can do cloud gaming, you ain't got to pay for that money.
That's not just storage, though. That's not just storage. Like, it's the same with CPUs, GPUs, everything.
Yeah, no one's arguing that.
Yeah, so it's like, I think your point of storage is going to make the console more expensive is not really the case. Like, it's just going to be the same as the PS3, the PS4, the PS5.
Oh, at what point is the console just a PC, then? I mean, I know you've got mini PCs now. I know, yeah, but in 10, 15 years' time, or however long it takes for the next 3 generations...
I reckon there's about 2 more generations, and then they're going to be basically PCs.
I
reckon
I don't know.
2 generations' time, you'll buy the Sony PC and the Xbox PC.
This is the thing. It's like, the consoles at the moment are essentially already PC. Like, it's basically PC hardware already.
Yeah, but it's only going to get bigger and better, surely. So at some point, it is just going to be a PC, not a mini PC anymore. I mean, but a PC.
Microsoft's already going that route. Microsoft is already going that route. You can tell by the design of the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, it's a tower.
But here's the thing. It's dependent on the actual game OS. You know, like the game software. Not the game itself, the console OS, I should say. Plus, you don't have to worry about messing around with any of the settings or anything like that. You know, it's like you're getting what you know will work. But
you did state that tech is only getting bigger and better, and all this shit. So you don't think in the next 2 generations of consoles, like James said, we're effectively just going to have the PlayStation PC and the Xbox PC?
I mean,
maybe even more generations than that, but at some point...
It's essentially a PC now, though. Like, the only difference is this is locked hardware and locked operating system. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I know, but there is new tech all the time. What I'm saying is, at some point, it is just going to be a fully fledged PC.
Well, no, it's just going to be it's just going to be the same. Like, consoles are always going to be behind PCs, but it's still essentially going to be called a console. Like, there's still going to be that growth on both sides. Like, you're still going to have the same locked OS that Sony put on. You're still going to be limited to what games you play on it and things like that.
So if nothing changes... Go on,
sorry. Look at how much they're growing, how big are they getting? There's only a certain amount until the case. It's going to need a PC case.
Right. So I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, and
because technology gets bigger, for the best stuff in it needs to be a bigger console.
That is going to be the only way I afford to put RGB in a PC case.
This is one of the...
Saying they're specifically PCs. You can't do everything PC on it.
One of the
it's going to be a console, but basically a PC.
This is one of the things we can't speculate on.
But the longer more consoles come out and the more tech comes out, and the longer that goes on for, they are obviously going to keep building up to a peak, to a point of being there. Well, no, PC are always going to be ahead, but they're going to end up building up to a point where the PC used to be, if you get me.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's like, look at the PS4 now.
Maybe they're already there.
Yeah, the PS4 now is better than, like, my old PC. Well, old PC. It's like, on a hardware level, the technology in that is better than my old PC. Now, keep in mind that's from 10 years ago, but consoles aren't as far behind PC as people seem to think. It's like, yeah, you can build some beast of a PC, which is, like, 10 years ahead of a console will ever be. But at the same time, like, that's going to cost you an arm and a leg, literally.
I've never thought they've been behind PCs too far. It's just that PC players, you could probably vouch for this yourself, Sam. They always tend to say, "Oh yeah, we can run that 60 or 120 FPS at such and such. Plus, there's no input lag." That seems to be the basic thing.
I mean, I'm definitely not on the PC master race side. Like, I love my PC, but I'm like a console player at heart. Like, I love my console gaming more than I love my PC gaming. But no, PCs are technologically way higher than a console at the moment. When next gen comes out, that gap is going to shrink. But again, it depends on what PC you're talking about. Like, if I had 50 grand, I could build a PC that will shit on any console that comes out within the next 20 years.
Yeah, of course. It's never going to be on par with that a 50, 60, 70 grand PC or whatever.
But this is what happens every single release. The consoles catch up to PC, and then PC just shoot on ahead. That's what always happens.
I don't think consoles ever really catch up. They get closer.
When I say catch up, yeah, they get close.
Yeah, it's like they're essentially at the point of an entry-level PC, basically. Yeah. But at the same time, like, technology's moved so fast in the past couple of years, and it's even moving even faster now. We can't speculate on future gen consoles. It's like, for all we know, the parts could shrink. The parts could, like, they could find some super way to make them so small, less heat generation and all that. And then,
that's all 80% of our podcast was speculation.
No, but what I mean is,
picture in the future, in 2 releases time, they start making it into like a Sony PC, for instance. Rather than bringing out PS10 or whatever, you can buy the parts to upgrade this console.
Probably won't happen. Probably won't happen. They won't.
Modification.
They won't let anyone modify it. It's like they won't let anyone modify it because it'll avoid the warranty for one. They'll keep bringing out new systems. I mean, even then, like, I know how simple. Well,
why would it be a bad thing for the for Sony, for the consumer, to void the warranty? It just means that if worst comes to worst, they go out and buy another system.
Or they go out and buy a different system. Rather than carrying on with the system.
Either way,
it depends, because they can be like clipped in. You just clip it out, then clip in the new one. It doesn't have to void the warranty.
To be fair, that is essentially
a good idea.
They've already had that with the hard drive, didn't they? On the PS4.
Yeah.
That was the only thing you were allowed to change in the PS4, and that was literally like a laptop hard drive. You just pull it out, push a new one in.
So why not do that style?
Because
not everybody
that the future
won't hold more attachables to a system.
So this is probably going to make me sound like a cunt, but people are stupid.
Wait, are we allowed to say that on here?
He said a hunt.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are stupid. It's like the PS4 hard drive, like you mentioned. It's like you literally just pull it out, push a new one in. People are putting them in the wrong way round and literally breaking the pins.
But there's nothing stopping them from putting a thing to make it only go in one way.
Arrows?
It depends on how they build it.
Arrows?
Right, so
just arrows like this way.
Let me put it this way.
Stupidity, my friend.
Building a PC nowadays is essentially you just plug the things in and it's done. Like, it is so simple nowadays. But then you have, like, big, massive companies like The Verge making a PC building tutorial where they pretty much did everything you're not supposed to do. It's like,
on purpose, or?
No, like, they genuinely acted like this is the way to build a PC. And it's like, literally every tech YouTuber pretty much just tore it apart. It's like I think it was Chewy, I think. Miracle Chewy, they put a video in media on the Discord server, which you should take a look at. It's basically a quote-unquote compilation of just everybody shit-talking The Verge building this PC. And when I say, like, big company, I mean, you must know how big The Verge is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, they were like, this is how you build a PC, make sure you've got your tweezers!
But that's what I mean, they're taking the piss then if they said make sure you got your tweezers.
No. They were genuinely serious. To the point they were going after people for, like, mocking them and that on YouTube. They were literally copywriting people over it. And it's like, in the end, I think they took their video down eventually. But you could tell, they genuinely thought that was how to build a PC. Like, that was not a piss take on their part. That was a genuine thing they did. And it's like, that's what I mean. It's like, you have a company this big. Surely they have tech staff there. But nobody ran it by them. Instead, what is essentially plug and play is, make sure you got your tweezers for all these little parts. And it's like, come on, really?
But then if you take that out of the equation and you do, like, as I said, like with the PS4 hard drive, why don't you do that for everything inside of the PC in the future? And then, therefore, you can have a modded PlayStation because you could have a PS11 fucking CPU inside it, but you can't afford the other part yet, so you'll upgrade that when you can get to it.
I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they'll do it. They'll want to sell the whole unit instead of individual parts. It's more money for them.
It depends on how they sell it. Because if it's specific parts that you have to buy only from Sony, they can mark those up. Because it doesn't feel like you're spending as much. If they say every single part's £100, it doesn't feel like you're spending as much by spending £100 at a time. But when you look at
how many parts that you're going to be buying,
yeah, you're spending like over £1,000.
I mean, not necessarily. Plus, I mean, plus one thing.
We're making up numbers, but yeah.
Yeah, but one thing you do have to keep in mind is we have no idea what the tech in the future is going to be like. We don't know if CPUs are going to remain as those little square things you slot on the motherboard. We don't know if RAM is still going to be the RAM chips on the motherboard. We don't know if graphics cards are still going to be cards in the future.
We don't know if CPU chips are just going to be implanted in our brains.
I mean, that's the thing, though. That's what I mean. It's like, you can talk about what you want
on about
for technology in the
speculation
future,
on
but
the
it can
future,
completely
right?
change.
On about speculation on the future. This wasn't on the list or anything, but I just wanted to know. Has anybody played Become Human, by the way? Detroit Become Human?
No.
With those Android? Yeah. Do you think at some point we are so far away before that's an actualization? Before that's reality?
I don't think we're too long away from it, but I don't think it's going to be any time in the future. Well, in the near future.
Are we just talking about
I'd say probably around 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Are we just talking about cyborgs here? Because I'm completely lost right
Basically, yeah.
But chips in heads, basically.
I mean, we already kind of have that.
Just drifting off into random conversation.
So there was a point in which they wanted to actually start doing that. I remember a talk about it about 5 years ago, maybe more.
Yeah.
I mean, but everyone refused, so they didn't do it.
Well, there was talk about people paying with chips implanted in them anyway, wasn't there?
There is essentially a real-life Doc Octopus.
A what?
Doc Octopus from Spider-Man. There is essentially a real-life version of him. He's got a chip in the back of his head, like just above his spine, and using that will detect the electrical signals from his brain. And while it's is good, not all of them, but he can actually control 2 arms with it. It's very, very slow and not that precise, but it does still move by his thought. Like this has been going for a couple of years now. To be fair, I've not seen anything on it in a while, so I don't know how it's progressing. That's just the point it was a while ago. But yeah, I mean, like we're already at the point where we are essentially getting technology implanted in us. But I'm worried about the outcome of that.
Tracking.
I mean, that's one thing, but technology goes bad.
What happens?
You can't create technology that stays alive.
If you've got a chip in you for whatever reason in the future, what happens if you get hacked?
I mean, I suppose it would depend on the chip.
Can somebody hack it and just force you to slap yourself? Like,
could you imagine, like, you're just sitting there watching the TV with your missus or something like that? It's like you're just there having a nice relaxation, and then out of nowhere, you just go like, whack! You're like, I'm sorry, baby, I was hacked, I swear!
It's not me!
I think this is one of the main reasons as to why it wouldn't be done anytime in the near future.
Yeah.
Even if they've got the full technology to be able to do it today, you've got so many risk factors that they wouldn't do it.
I mean, when you think about it, like, the banks can't keep themselves safe. It's like governments can't keep themselves safe. There's nothing safe from hackers at the end of the day. So to give them control of somebody's body,
and potential life.
That's what I mean. It's like, let's say you have... Right, let's go full sci-fi for a minute. Nanomachines. So, essentially, little tiny microscopic robots that basically repair anything in your body. You know, it's like you're developing cancer. They will go and neutralize the cancer cells on a microscopic level. You've got a cut, so they'll essentially like fix up the cut and stitch it internally as soon as it happens. I assume you've both seen sci-fi movies with nanomachines.
You effectively become a superhero.
I mean, not superhero. You basically will never get ill.
They would never do that.
No, but what I'm saying is...
Because the world would overpopulate so quick.
Yeah,
but no one's dying.
What I'm saying is, now imagine if you had those nanomachines in you. Let's say you have some deadly, dangerous disease, and the nanomachines can't remove it. They can just keep it at bay. It's like...
As cells.
Yeah, someone hacks you, shuts the nanomachines down, you're dead. It's like...
Because the nanomachines can no longer fight off what illness you had.
Essentially, yeah. It's like... Maybe your heart's bleeding, like you're bleeding internally from the heart and that. So you're gonna die of blood loss eventually. The nanomachines are weak at fixing that.
So basically, we'd be Deadpool. Only instead of nanomachines, his regeneration would be cut, so he'd die.
Sure. Let's all just go dress up as Deadpool for Halloween.
The main issue with that, I think, in my opinion, would be if I was to hack you, Alan, make you go and kill a load of people.
Why am I the example?
But you're going to get done for it. I'm innocent. They're not going to believe you. And so there's so many issues that can go wrong with that sort of thing.
But here's the thing, though. What if he turned around and said to the court, like, it wasn't me, I was hacked.
Yeah, everyone would use that excuse.
Exactly. So that would become a big problem on the legal sector as well.
Wouldn't they be able to trace where the hack came from? Like, IP and shit?
I mean, we're
talking about the future stuff. We don't know.
We're getting really into hacking territory here. You can trace it depending on how it's done and how good you yourself are. Like, a good hacker will always be able to trace a bad hacker, essentially. Because, like, keep in mind, there are multiple different types of hackers. You've got hackers, crackers, and things like that.
Yeah, they'll bounce off a bunch of IPs and stuff, so they're pretty well hidden.
Like
VPNs, everything.
A good cracker... a good hacker would be able to trace a cracker, because that's typically what they are. Like, crackers are typically the ones who break security. Like, they break security systems and get into things, basically. And then it's up to, like, the hackers and things like that to essentially trace them down, find out who they were. Like,
I love how this became an in-depth conversation.
It did, didn't it?
I mean, what can I say? You know, what can I say? But no, it's one of those things. Like, it could be possible to track a hacker down if they hacked your nanomachines.
I'm waiting for how you're going to segue out of this.
Talking about that.
Just like this. So, speaking of the person who is most likely to be able to afford nanomachines, Jeff Bezos' Amazon Prime Day is coming.
Fuck Jeff Bezos.
That was a very good transition. I just want to say congratulations for that.
Nailed it. It's like, I'm getting good at this shit now, guys. We're on episode 6.
Yeah, Prime Day. I'm looking forward to it. I do worry about it a lot of the time because it's quite like Black Friday, whereas a lot of things will go on offer that went up a week before.
Yeah, that's
just to make it look like it's gone on offer.
That's the biggest problem with things like these, for sure.
But we're still terrible. We still buy it all.
Oh god, yeah. It's I can already tell you right now, I'm going to spend a shit ton of money.
I won't be buying anything because it won't turn up. So
I ain't touching it.
Yeah.
Fuck Jeff Bezos.
But no, I would probably end up spending a bit too much money.
None of it's going to be delivered anyway.
Not to you. It's like, I've got a ripped bag of dog food downstairs. Don't know why, but... But no, Prime Day for me is one of those things that I start looking at something, and then 2 hours later, I find out that my bank's on the phone like, are you spending all this money? And I'm just like, if I say no, do I get it back? It's like, yeah,
technically, yeah.
Would it be traced up as fraud though as well?
I mean, yeah. But no, Prime Day for me is like Steam Summer Sale. You buy a shit ton of stuff that you're never going to use.
I had a call from our bank once. I saw, yeah, we saw that £200 came out of your bank and such and such. I was like, oh yeah, I was just in a club buying drugs.
That before, yeah. One bit of advice to anyone that does buy a lot of stuff online is make sure you use a credit card. Because you're not liable to any issues. So, for instance, if it doesn't turn up or anything like that...
Are you on about as opposed to alternative means like PayPal and such?
Yeah, if you pay with something like a debit card or PayPal or anything like that, you're responsible. But if you pay with a credit card, if it doesn't turn up, for instance, and the company says, well, I don't give a shit, we sent it. If it didn't turn up, that's your problem. The credit card company still needs to refund you because it's their problem now, not yours.
I mean, Amazon take care of the buyers anyway. Like, Amazon pretty much always are on the buyer's side rather than the sellers. So
yeah, they're usually really good, but sometimes...
I don't know.
Do people not have something in place for that kind of stuff?
Yes. So you can get into a dispute with the vendor, and then you'll have to have a bit of a back and forth with the vendor itself. Most of the time, though, PayPal essentially just says, you know what, fuck this, here's your money back.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good, but it does take a while. Credit cards, you'll get it straight away. They have to take responsibility. It's in their contract.
That's one of the reasons why I never really wanted to open like a full-blown online store and that, because PayPal always take the side of the customer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like shops get screwed over by PayPal a lot. But yeah, it's like, as I was saying, Prime Day to me is Steam Summer Sale.
Is there anything in particular you're looking for?
Probably the new graphics card, right, Sam?
Nice 3080, yeah.
He is as well.
I might look, okay? I might look. If it's on offer, I would consider it.
What are you hoping the offer would be? That you would deem, all right, I'll buy it.
For the 3080, 500. Because I think the 3080's current price is about...
much.
Well, I think the 3080 at the moment
What's
is
the
650.
What's the current price?
650. But yeah, if it's around 500, I probably would bite the bullet and buy one.
I can't see him drop.
It's only just come out.
I know.
I mean, it's not in fucking stock.
They might drop 50 quid.
I never said I was going to. I'm just saying if it came to that price, I would probably buy one.
Do you think next-gen consoles are going to be on Prime Day?
No, it's too early.
No.
Way too early.
Because Prime Day is, what, in a week or two?
Do you think they could potentially push their digital systems, though?
No. They won't use Prime Day for any of the systems.
No.
It's like, they're already selling out as soon as they get stock. Why
You'll
would
have
they lower
PS4s
the
and
price?
Xbox Ones on there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You'll have current gen on there. Easily. Yeah. I think for me, though, the one thing I will probably look out for the most is... maybe some storage. I do need some more storage. Like, I'm running out of storage. It's like, because of my videos and all that, just, it eats my storage.
Yeah, I'm looking for some storage and maybe a monitor.
I suppose I'll be looking for dog food.
That may or may not turn up.
Yeah. I'll have to order it twice to get it delivered.
You know, you might be better off waiting to try to build your PC and order as many parts as you can on Prime Day.
I was thinking of that.
You'll probably get a good discount on that, to be fair.
Or a complete refund when it doesn't turn up.
Exactly. So, win-win. One of the other things I am looking out for, though, is a 3950. So, 16-core processor from AMD. They are bringing...
That's the new one, isn't it?
No.
Oh, no, that's the one that I'm going to get.
When is Prime Day, by the way?
I think it's the 13th.
The 13th, okay.
I think so. I could be wrong on that, though.
And how long does it run for?
1 day.
No,
is it
it's
just
one
a day?
day.
1 to 2 days, I think. It's not
I think
long.
it's around 4 days or something.
Is it? I know the offers change periodically, though. Like, the offers are constantly changing every few hours.
Yeah, in the timers on certain items, and then when it runs out, another one is...
Yeah.
And those who are on Amazon Prime can see...
So I think what it is it's one official Prime Day, but there's 4 days where you've got, like, loads of offers that have, like, time limits and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for a 3950. Because, I mean, 8 cores at the moment is... it's giving me a limit on editing.
Have they released the new one yet? Or spoke about it? Because are you going to shoot yourself in the foot?
That's coming on October 8th. Now, the leaks we've had is a 12 core. Like, yeah, the speed's going to be faster, but I don't personally care that much about the speed. Like, the 3950X goes up to 4.7 gigahertz. That's more than enough speed for what I need. I need the cores. So it's like, if they release a new 16 core, and it's, you know, like a bit faster, then depending on the price, I might go for that. But no, it depends on what they're going to announce on the 8th. But I do need more cores. It's like,
but if it goes on offer, it's worth buying and then just don't open it.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm not...
You've got a month to return it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not too worried, to be fair. But it's like, what I should have done is, I should have delayed my original PC upgrade, by a couple of months, because then I could have bought the 3950X when it came out. It's like, yeah, it would have been about 400 more, but I'd have had so much more performance out of it. But that's probably that and storage are probably my big lookouts, plus Galaxy, like Galaxy chocolate.
What?
Yeah, like Galaxy chocolate, dude. It's like that goes on offer sometimes on Amazon, and it is dirt cheap. It's like,
you're waiting for Prime Day for Galaxy chocolate.
Dude, like, you won't believe how cheap it gets sometimes.
Can't wait for Prime Day, mate. I want some chocolates.
No, it's like, it gets so cheap. So it's like, if that goes on offer, like...
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm assuming you're saving £1.
No, he buys in bulk.
The last time I ordered, it was about £1.20 a bar that I saved. So that's a pretty big saving. So
are we talking like bars like that?
My God.
Not that big, but
he's talking about those ones,
bars.
aren't he?
Yeah, like the big ones, the big ones.
So basically,
like
you're
getting
trying to have like 50 coupons in your purse and go down to Asda.
I mean, I would probably order
For
more
a
than
saving
50.
of like £1.20.
No. I'm talking per bar. Per bar.
Yeah. We're also talking about waiting for chocolate on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but that's
Day.
like 60 to 70% off.
How many bars are you going to be buying for it to be worth saving?
I would buy big bulk. Probably just 60, 70 bars. I go for a lot of chocolates. What's wrong with that? I go for a lot of chocolate.
Oh my God.
It's like, I typically go for a bar of chocolate a day. The full size ones. Like, I will...
Is it enough?
And have you had a tech yet, or
say again?
Do you need more?
What were you saying, James?
have you had a heart attack yet, or what?
I don't think so.
A day.
Pretty much. Dude, I've done that for like the last 15 years.
Is it enough for you, or do you need more?
What,
one
one
bar
bar
a
a
day.
day?
my friend.
One bar a day is fine. Like, it's basically what I snack on while working. So I will
60 bars though. My God.
Yeah, but I mean, with the saving, like, it'd be worth it in the long run. Like, it'll last me for a while, plus I save a ton of money.
Chocolate does go out of date, you know.
Yeah, but it's not that quick.
No, I know, but like, how
like-
long is 60 bars going to last? Well, 60 days, obviously.
Yeah, it's
but-
like, it'll last me 2 months. It's like, it won't be that bad, to be fair. But it's like, that's not that much, to be fair.
That is a lot.
I mean, not a lot.
We'll let chat dispute it.
I mean, I've already got someone on my side. That's only like 3 boxes of 20. So it's like, it's already not that bad. But no, I mean, I could easily go through that, you know. Plus, I mean, the last time I ordered chocolate from Amazon, it had about a year to a year and a half left on its shelf life. So, even then, like, it would last a while, typically.
To be fair, I don't think chocolate actually affects you if it's off anyway.
It just tastes horrible.
It'll just taste banky.
Before it's not a use by, so
Yeah, it just
taste
really
banky.
tastes horrible. Might give you a little bit of an upset stomach as well, but it's not going to kill you.
It ain't going to stop him from eating it anyway, by the sounds of it.
I will
Yeah.
not eat chocolate if it starts going like off colour because it's old and that.
I hope your 60 bars turn up out of date and off.
that's why they're so cheap.
If they do, I'm just going to keep throwing them at Alan's window.
That'll be the only thing delivered by Amazon.
I mean, technically, they'd be delivered by me.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, yeah, like, I love my chocolate. So, we should probably talk about something that's come out recently. There isn't chocolate. Crash 4.
That's a terrible segue.
I know.
It is, yeah.
I've had one good segue this podcast. I've had one good segue.
Do you know what else isn't chocolate? Let's talk about Jupiter.
I mean, there might be a chocolate bar called Jupiter somewhere in the world. It's like,
so you've been playing Crash. How do you find it?
It's hard.
Hard?
It's genuinely hard, dude.
It's not a kids game anymore, no?
I remember you saying on your stream, actually, that it feels harder. In your words, I think this was, it feels harder than the last few Crashes. Or either you're getting old enough now that you just suck a little bit more.
I mean, it's probably a bit of both, but it's definitely harder than the original 3 Crashes. Like, I could play them now and still have no problem with it. Let me put it this way, James. You know the mod run I was doing for FF10?
Yeah.
In 3 hours of that, at the very start, I had 50 deaths. At the end of my 3-hour stream for Crash 4, I had 76.
What age is that game?
Let's not get into that.
Is it like a 3+ or something?
I mean, maybe. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard, dude. But there is a lot of gameplay. It's like, in 3 hours, I got what I assume is halfway through the game, because it goes like,
Hang on. You said there's a lot of gameplay. 3 hours, you're halfway through the game.
Are you 100% in?
I'm getting to that as well.
Okay.
So, right, I think I'm halfway through. I think. Because the way the levels seem to go is you've got a world that's based on getting a mask, a world that's based on a boss, back to mask, back to boss, and so on and so forth. It keeps rotating. Now, I believe I have 2 masks and 2 bosses left to do. So that's why I think I'm halfway through the game at the moment. However, that is just me going through the story. So, let's say 6 to 6.5 hours just going through the story. Then it comes to 100%ing. So, getting all the gems. You've got the hidden color gems. Gems for getting all the boxes, hidden gems, all stuff like that. Then, you've got to do the same again, but the levels are reversed. So, you're essentially playing on mirrored worlds. And that's like a new mode you unlock halfway through the game.
That sounds really cool.
It does sound pretty cool. I haven't tried it yet. Other than that, you've got collectible tapes in the game. So once you collect these, you unlock other new stages to play as well. Which are like retro stages sort of thing. Not like the original Crash 1 games and that. But sort of that style of appearance, you know. And then, you've also got another character. So you've got optional stages with her as well. And she sort of like helps Crash and Coco in the background. And she seems to be involved in quite a lot of the levels as well. So straight off the bat, there's gotta be 30-40 hours worth of gameplay there pretty easily. And that's not counting all my deaths.
What do you know what number level you're on?
Not a clue. Not a clue. I've just beaten Embryo boss.
I don't know if James wants to take the wheel on this, or if you want me to tell him the actual...
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
Yeah? So there was initially supposed to be 100 levels, but that got sized down to 43 levels in the end.
Okay, so yeah, I'm probably about halfway through then, because there's about 5 stages a world, and I've done 4 worlds. Without
100% in it, the story is coming in at around 6 to 8 hours.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
That's going on the article.
Yeah, that does sound about right, because I'm about halfway through it at 3 hours, so another 3 hours does make sense. Maybe a little more if the stage
It would probably also depend on the player as well. Speed running, 100% completionist, that kind of thing.
Dude, I want to see a speedrun of this game. I want to see a good Crash speedrunner just demolish it. It's gonna look amazing. Like
what about 100% speedrun?
That would take time.
Can that be done?
It could be done, yeah. I mean, everything can be done. It's like there are speedruns out there that take 300 hours. Like, it can be done.
My question is, though, 6 to 8 hours on a game, is that long enough, in your opinion?
I mean, keep in mind that's only to go through the.
That's only going
story.
from start to finish.
Story.
Yeah,
but still,
that's not counting the extra levels, getting the gems and things like
But
that.
the question would still stand though. As
still stands.
story only is 6 to 8 hours.
As story only, I don't think it's worth the £60.
Yeah.
Because
it was
I mean,
60 quid.
I got it from the PS Store, yeah.
Oh yeah,
£60.
that makes sense. Yeah, he probably got a 10% discount as well. And it still came out as well.
But no, if I got it from a retail store, it probably would have been like 40. Like
Yeah.
I think
So
Shop 2 is selling it at 40.
To me,
something.
especially for a full price game, for the story to only be 6 to 8 hours is very short in my
I
opinion.
mean, keep in mind it's Crash. Crash never really has a story. Crash is more about the exploration, the platforming, the collections, you know?
I guarantee it's priced at that tag for nostalgia.
Yeah, it will be.
But
I mean,
it does lead me to a question.
It's just
though.
a new full price game, that's all.
Should we be paying more or less for games depending on how long it takes to finish, depending on the amount of hours it takes to complete, based on story?
As an
I
RPG
think
player,
so.
fuck no.
As a
Yeah,
what?
because you'd be screwed.
Yeah, it's
As
like,
an
as an RPG player, fuck no.
Yeah, that's a good
All right.
point.
Let's
It's
say
like,
it doesn't.
if
go
I
above
have to
60.
pay by the hour,
No. But let's say if it's a 6-hour game, should you be paying full retail price?
I mean, it depends.
Well, it's a 6 to 8
mean,
hour
no,
game,
no,
and he's
like,
paying by the hour for that anyway.
We
on the
have
lower
Yeah,
to-
end.
eventually.
60 quid for the 6
We
hours.
have to. You can't just do story only. You do have to throw in what is available to do in game.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that don't care about 100%. They just want to play the game.
Yeah, but that's them. That's got nothing to do with the game length itself. It's
Well,
like,
it does. Because,
well, no, because if they
a
make
lot of people are like that.
yeah, but if they make a 6 to 8 hour game, but there's enough content in said game, which can take you 60, 70 hours, that's two very different arguments right there.
No, I get where you're coming from, but there's so many people that just buy the game because they want to play it, the story. They don't care about 100%. They don't care about trophies.
Okay,
I'm
but
that
either
player.
way, they are still
if
buying
that
a brand new
story-
game.
If that story was, say, 15 hours long, then I would say that's worth the money. 6 hours long, it's a bit...
I'm never going to agree with this.
Between
I'm-
6,
I'm never
but
gonna
bear
agree
in mind
with
though, Sam, for the story between 6 and 8 hours, you are effectively paying. Well, you've done what? Did you say you're
£10
done
an hour.
I've
6
done-
hours or something?
I've done 3 hours so far.
You've paid about £10 an hour for the 6 hours.
But I'm going to eventually 100% it, so I'm easily going to get 40, 50, 60 hours on it.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. It's like I'm never going to agree with this point.
You are.
Yeah, because
you
you're thinking
are.
of it personally.
You're not going to agree because you are 100% completionist.
Well, not only that, it's like I don't look at things like that. The way I look at it is how much playtime is there in this game, not how long is the story. Can I play this game for 10 hours or can I play this game for 50 hours? That's
but-
the way
but
I
that's-
look at it.
That's you. James's point was people who just play for the story.
Yeah, so think of others,
I'm
not
pretty
just...
much one of those players. So this price tag goes out to everybody, not just 100%
That's the thing then. I can't understand where you're coming from in a sense because I don't agree with the idea. Like I can understand what you're trying to say.
It's also a little difficult though when Crash Bandicoot is the example because
Yeah, it's like it's
it's not really enough of a story to be
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
playing it for the story.
Okay,
It's famously known as collectibles and shit like that.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like if they brought out a game that had no collectibles or anything like that and it was just 6 hours long, that would not get full retail price. If it did, then yeah, I'd shit on it. But
Well, let's say they brought out like a God of War that's like a 6-hour story, but there's 60 hours worth of side missions you can do.
They are bringing out God of War.
then it's full retail
A 6-hour
price as far as
story.
I'm concerned.
I don't know how long it is, but the new God of War on the PS5 is going to be God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, so I mean
Yeah,
that's
it's
full
gonna be a
retail
6-hour
price as
story.
far as
That
I'm
is-
concerned.
It's going to be a
story.
6-hour story.
No.
No.
He's just like using this as an example.
Yeah,
But no,
a game that's not typically about going and collecting stuff or whatever. You still think that should be, if it's a 6-hour story, because I would say about 80% of the player base don't care about completion or whatever. They just want to play the story.
I would still say yeah, because there's still that amount of content in the game which took effort to create.
But if we can complete the game in one sitting,
Don't matter. It's like if they made a 6-hour story and then threw in 70 hours of gameplay.
It's got to matter at some point.
Because they have to cover their costs. The developers have to cover their costs. If they make a 6-hour story but then throw in 70 hours of gameplay that you can also do, they're still making a game with like 70 plus hours gameplay. So you should pay full retail price for that to cover their costs, essentially. It's like that's the way it's always worked. You don't pay for the story, you essentially pay for how much gameplay there is in a game. It's like, you can argue, but I don't play like all the side quests and that, why should I pay the same price? And it's like, okay, don't pay the same price, wait a couple of years, wait for it to go on offer when it's cheaper and buy it that way.
So if you look at reviews, for instance, you will see so many, when the game is very short, there might be a shed ton you can do alongside the game. Most people complain in those reviews because the game was so short. Why did that cost me 60 quid when I completed it in 5 hours or whatever?
This is one of the things, like, you can never really fully trust online reviews because there are a lot of things that go into it. It's like, I've actually had developers email me saying, do you want an email code? Like, we will let you like review our game, like you can do all your review and that. We just ask that you make it positive. Now, obviously, straight off the bat, I tell them where to go. Like, I'm not interested in anything like that.
You're going against my point. I'm talking about negative.
No. I know, I'm getting to it. Now, when it comes to negative reviews, I can basically bring up the Metal Gear Survive situation. People shat on that game without even playing it just because of the drama going on with like Hideo Kojima and Konami. And then Death Stranding comes out and everyone realizes, oh, that's basically Metal Gear Survive. Okay, let's just sort of disappear off into the background here. It's like, a review will never be an accurate representation of the game because everybody's tastes differ. Everybody plays a game for a different reason. It's like, maybe...
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm not disputing that.
Maybe the reviewer was in a really, really bad mood while he was playing the game. You know, like, maybe he's got some shit going on in real life. So that would give him a negative opinion.
Can I just say, as a guy who loves story-driven games, it could be a 6 to 8 hour game, and I pay 60 quid for it. But if at the end of that story I've gone, oh my fucking god, that was amazing, then it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
Right. How much do you spend when you go to the pictures?
I don't go to the pictures, it's rip-off.
Well, there goes that point. Okay,
But before you carry on, if I go to the pictures and I pay full price for a film and it was shit, I don't feel great about it.
No, but you still end up paying full price for what is essentially 2 hours of entertainment. You don't go, well, that was shit, I want half my money back. That wasn't worth it.
I went to the cinema, paid full price for a half-hour film.
The trailer of the film...
We're not about a half-hour film, though.
The trailer of the film... The trailer of the film sells those tickets, and a film can't be 8 hours long because then
exactly.
You're not watching.
You can't use that as an example.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, you're paying for the entertainment, not the length of the entertainment.
I think it depends.
It's a bit of both.
I think I want a good amount of playtime out of the story alone, but if the story is so good that it's only 6 hours, if it makes me go, oh my god, wow, then I'll pay that.
Right, hang on. I've got a very accurate one here. Call of Duty. Campaigns are always, and always have been, 4 to 6 hours.
Doesn't count, it's got an online mode.
According to you, all games should be based on the story length.
But
I didn't say that.
But
that's essentially what you were getting to. That's essentially what you were getting to. You should pay based on the campaign.
Can we point out that they sold a campaign-only Modern Warfare game?
The remaster.
Yeah, was it 2?
It was the
Modern
remaster
Warfare
of
2,
2.
yeah, at like dirt cheap.
It was like 15
That wasn't full
quid.
price.
How much did it sell
It was 15 quid, I think. 15 quid,
Yeah.
15, 20 quid.
Okay, then scrap that then.
The online dictates the price as well.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying. Like that,
It's
you
not
are
what you're
paying
saying because
you are paying
Crash doesn't have
based-
online.
No, but what I'm saying is you're playing based on gameplay. Like, how much gameplay is there?
Sam.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare Remastered sold at 15 quid for campaign only, right?
Yes.
6 to 8 hours. So
I'd say more 4 to 6, but yeah.
4 to 6. So if you're going on price for the story alone, then that speaks volumes, right?
Yeah.
No, because it's a remaster of an old game.
So it was 7. How much was that?
That's
so
a good
again?
point.
That was full price, wasn't it?
No, I didn't hear what you said.
7. iPhone 7.
FF7.
Final Fantasy 7.
That wasn't a remaster. That was a remake.
Oh, that was a remake,
full
wasn't it? Yeah.
blown remake. That is two entirely different things.
By the way,
to be
I recently
honest,
downloaded-
right, that was a very long game. I got to the end of that, and I wanted my money back.
I've been playing the demo of that, by the way. I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good until the end, according to Sam.
Now I've downloaded the full game on the Xbox on Game Pass.
Like, the first 95% of the game is really, really good, and any FF fan will, like, really enjoy it. The last 5% pretty much shits all over any FF fan.
So in theory, if you're not an FF fan, then it's absolutely fine throughout the whole thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's like, if you like the gameplay, you'll probably like the game. Like, if you like the demo, you'll like the game, basically. So, I mean, maybe give it a try, you know? Like, if you like the demo, you will probably like the game.
I've played the demo. I've enjoyed it, and because of that, I downloaded the full game on Game Pass.
Next stream?
Possibly. I do want to stream Resi 7 though.
Ooh, Resi 7 was good.
But yeah, I mean, so the way I was looking at the topic is you pay for how long you can play the game. Whether it's online, whether it's side quests, whatever, doesn't matter. You pay for how long you can play, basically. So it's like...
So how long you can play?
basically,
It's probably not gonna be just in your opinion. It's gonna be an absolute fact, really. How long you can play is within the story being as short as whatever, and then everything surrounding each side quest, collectibles, 100%.
Online.
yeah, like that, that's all gameplay.
I don't think anyone disputes this. It's just that it is a little bit frustrating if you are just like buying this game for the story. You don't care about completion, and you end up with a 6-hour game. You do feel a little bit ripped off.
Yeah, but in that case, all I can say is it's that person's own fault. If they only want a game for the story, first they
It's not
should...
their fault. They didn't know the size of the game.
Firstly, they should wait a couple hours until after the game is out, or even before that, because reviewers typically have the game length.
There is also YouTube videos out that are specifically for, before you buy.
Exactly,
kind of
but
thing.
not only that, it's like if they're only going to play a game for a story, see how long the story is before they buy, and then if it's a short story, wait until the game goes on sale. Again,
I think it all depends on the player and what their preference is. I think you can have a 6-hour game, story-wise, and if that story is amazing, then yeah, it's well worth the money. I think if they're going to do a 6-hour game, they've got to make you go, wow, to pay that price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's... Oh, go on.
No, I'm not one of those people. I do play a lot of the game. Even once I've completed the game, I'll still try and do the side quests and stuff. So I do get my money's worth. But I feel that there are a lot of people that don't. And is it fair on them if the story is only that long? I do feel like they're getting a little bit shunted because of us. Why not just bring that out as a DLC, and therefore we pay the extra £10 or whatever for the DLC?
I can't agree with that, but I think that's just because of my mentality as like an RPG, JRPG player. It's like, I'll always go all out. Plus, I mean, I've not come across a full retail price game that's only like 4 to 6, 8 hours, whatever, with no side content. Like, I've never once come across a game like that.
The thing is, though, someone like me is going to be shafted for a while in this situation, because since the introduction of Battle Royales and stuff like that, I've been drawn more towards single-player story modes. So I'm still going to have to pay the price of the playability, even if I'm only going to be playing for about 6-7 hours.
I have to ask you one thing. Why do you hate Battle Royale so much?
I don't hate I hate most Battle Royales.
But
there's only 2 that I like.
Have you tried...
Fall Guys is one and Rocket League's the other.
I mean, I thought you played
true Battle Royales, in my opinion.
They're technically classed as Battle Royales.
I mean, you play Apex, right?
I used to. I don't anymore.
I mean, I was going to say, that's a Battle Royale.
Yeah, I used to play it. I stopped playing it. I deleted it.
Right. I know.
And that happens with most of them. And people try to get me into Rogue Company and all the new ones, Hyperscape and shit. And I'm not playing them.
So
Hyperscape is amazing, dude.
I know you shit on Fortnite. Have you ever tried Fortnite?
So I've got to find the look of this and the gameplay of this. I've got to find it appealing for me to play it.
Okay.
I don't like any aspects about Fortnite. I don't understand why it's cartoony, building and fighting and all this. Okay, and I'm sure there's a load of Fortnite fans in the chat that are going to get pissed off with me. So well, it's just my opinion.
You don't like Hyperscape?
I haven't played Hyperscape. I'm not playing Hyperscape for the same reason that I'm not playing any other Battle Royales. I'm not really interested.
It's
Have you not
very
tried it?
It's very much
No, I've
like
not tried it.
Apex.
Yeah, and I lost interest in Apex.
Yeah, but I mean, just because you lost interest in Apex doesn't mean you wouldn't get into Hyperscape.
You
It's
just
like-
said it was a lot like Apex.
Have you even played it, Sam?
Say again?
Have you even played Hyperscape?
I've tried it. Not really my sort of thing.
Well, fair enough.
But no, I tried it when, well, shortly after you told me about it. I did give it a try, but...
But the same thing
It's
happened with
a lot. It's worth trying now.
same thing
Go on.
happened with Warzone. Like, just nah.
I mean, I tried Warzone at first, and I didn't like it either. But looking at the gameplay of Warzone now, it does actually look pretty fun. It looks like a lot's changed from when it came out to what it is now. It's like, it generally got to the point where the other day, I was actually watching Warzone videos on YouTube, and I was very tempted to pull my old COD disc out and actually go play Warzone. And
You don't need the COD disc.
I don't have it
Warzone's free.
installed.
Yeah, Warzone's
I can just
free.
download it from the store.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It's
I
a
might
separate.
do
It's a
that
separate thing.
then. Oh, no, I was going to say, back then, you had to have the disc in to even play it.
Yeah, originally, but
Yeah.
now it's just completely free, so you can just download it.
But going back
might
to
do
what
that
I
then.
was going back to what I was on about though, it's just driving me towards single player story modes even more. But I'm also appreciating it again, like because we started from that and then we went to multiplayer and shit, and that became a thing. Now I've gone back like full circle to the story modes, and I've got a new love for it. So yeah, it's just how much game time I'm getting out of the story. Also depending on how much I'm loving the story, like I said before, that I pay the price for.
Yeah. I mean, that...
So do you think, like, do you think it could be good for publishers in the future to have it so you can buy just the game on its own and then buy the online on its own,
Yeah. Separate purchases, I think it'd be fine.
as well as a all-in-one?
I mean, they probably won't do it.
I don't think they would.
They would lose
but-
money.
And all people would just buy the all-in-one. To be honest with you, it's more convenient.
Well, it depends. You,
No,
for
because
instance,
then
wouldn't.
you would have people who would just buy the cheaper story only, so they would lose
But then
money.
they-
They'd never do that.
It depends, because they could get more sales because people don't want to spend £60 on a game when they're only going to play the story.
But people do spend £60 on a game when they only want to play the story. Because they want to
Yeah,
play
it's
the
true.
story.
It's true. Yeah.
I do, to be honest.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's
So they'll
like-
lose money.
Yeah.
We're
like, no
still
company would
going to
ever do
play.
this.
In my opinion, we're just getting a little bit shafted, but we're still going to pay regardless.
That's what I mean. It's like it's just one of them things, you know. Like it's gonna change depending on who you ask more than anything.
Yeah, it's definitely subjective.
Yeah, the style of player.
One thing technically two things we should probably get in real quick because we are actually over 2 hours now. So two quick rapid fire topics. With the new Crash 4 game, I'm really, really, really hoping they make a new Spyro game. Because obviously Crash and Spyro go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The last Spyro game was the remaster, wasn't it?
Yes.
Wasn't- Yeah,
1, 2,
remaster.
and 3 remastered.
So when was the last actual Spyro game?
This is where things get a little iffy. Spyro was technically a thing for a little bit on the PS3, but not in its own game. It was part of Skylanders.
That was it, yeah.
That was the last Spyro really saw of anything. But
I'd say it's due it.
that, and I mean, Spyro the remaster sold quite well, to be fair. And so here's what I think. I think if they are working on one, they might hide a demo in Crash 4. Because that's what Spyro.
that would be really
That's
good.
what Spyro and Crash used to do all the time. Crash
That'd
1
be
had
sick.
Well, Crash 1 had a demo for Spyro 1. Spyro 1 had a demo for Crash 1.
Did it?
Yeah, they did the same for Crash 2 and Spyro 2. The same again for Crash 3 and Spyro 3. And
So
then
do you think-
once again, they did it with Crash Bash and, what was the other Spyro game?
Although,
can't
right,
remember.
wouldn't this already have been announced? Somebody would have reported this already, right? If we've
Maybe-
already got information on
maybe
how long it
maybe
takes
it just
to finish
hasn't
the
been
game.
found. Maybe it just hasn't been found yet. Like,
I'm going to sound like a complete idiot here, especially considering what you just said, but is Spyro Naughty Dog?
I don't
No,
know.
it's Insomniac.
Then
No,
how do they
actually.
have trailers for each other?
They don't have trailers for each other, they have demos.
What, even that?
I can't remember who made... Yeah, no, it's Insomniac. It's always been Insomniac.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
Crash is Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
No, the
But
original,
not
the original Crash is
They were always Naughty Dog.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
think
Naughty Dog thing at the
Insomniac
start.
owned Naughty Dog at first, or Insomniac worked
maybe.
on them. I could be wrong on that though, but no, the original Crash games and Spyro games always had demos for each other in them for the first 3 games, and I think Crash Bash and another Spyro game as well did it. But what I think is maybe there's a demo and they're just waiting for people to find the demo before they announce a new Spyro game, or they're going to do an
It'll be
update.
clever advertisement.
They're going to do an update for Crash 4 with a demo.
Or within Crash, with the way Easter eggs are going, maybe there's an Easter egg for Spyro to hint.
There is a Spyro Easter egg right at the start of the game.
So that's probably already hinting at a Spyro.
I think it's more a throwback of how closely
probably a
connected the 2
throwback.
series are. Because like at the very start of the game, you're essentially on the beach, and just in the water, there's a Spyro like raft and that. So I don't necessarily think it's a hint, more a throwback sort of thing. But I genuinely think if there's not a demo in the game, there might be one added via an update. Because it just stands to reason they've always done it, and it would be amazingly popular, I think. Plus, it's Insomniac who typically make Spyro. In fact, I should probably change my statements a little here. Insomniac made the original Spyros. Toys for Bob did the remaster.
So who did Crash? Was it still Naughty Dog?
For the originals, yes. For Crash
For the new
4, it was Toys for Bob.
Ooh.
There's got to be something then.
That's what I mean. Like, now it's the same developer for them both.
Oh.
I think something's coming. It's gotta. It's like we're long overdue for a Spyro game. And there were rumours of one last year as well. There were rumours floating around, but then... Wait, I think it was last year. Maybe it was a little longer. But then the HD collection for Spyro was announced. So everybody assumed it was that.
That would have been last year.
So maybe the rumours of a new Spyro wasn't in relation to the HD collection. Maybe it was actually a new Spyro in the works. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Because it's a good new Spyro.
It's a good way to reboot Spyro by bringing out the HD collection followed by the next game. Get everyone back into it.
Which is exactly what they've done with Crash. They brought the HD collection out, and then 2 years later we get Crash 4. So I think it's possible. I hope it's possible.
I hope it is.
Whilst we're talking about these throwbacks that fall into the same sort of category, it wasn't Toys for Bob that did Ratchet and Clank, the new Ratchet and Clank, was it?
No. That's in Insomniac Games.
Okay.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Jack and Dexter, right?
Yeah. Possibly.
Yeah, like Jack and Dexter and Ratchet and Clank share the same relationship as Crash and Spyro do. They always link together. Yeah, no, that's Insomniac who do Ratchet and Clank. Like Insomniac is all over Ratchet and Clank. They won't let that go. That is Ratchet and Clank's their baby, essentially. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with Jack and Dexter. There were rumours of a new Jack years and years and years ago, but the developers basically came out and said, yeah, we tried to do a Jack for the PS3, but it looks so realistic that we were like, no, this is going to be like horrible, and that no one would want to play this. And people watched that interview and they were like, so make it cartoony.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
It's like, it's not that hard. You know, it's like, you don't have to make it realistic.
Just do what Sonic did with their fucking movie trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
Take it back and change it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And look how quick they did that as well.
I know, yeah.
I mean, it took a while.
I reckon.
Quick considering.
Yeah.
I reckon they had something up their sleeve. I reckon that was deliberate. I reckon they threw out something shit to disappoint everybody to then go, ha! Now here you go. And sell out more.
Could be. While we're on about new games and remasters and things like that, though.
Oh god, I know where you're going.
There's a Need for Speed remaster coming. And it's not Underground. I'm sorry, everybody. I know you're all crying tears right now. It's not Underground.
It's Hot Pursuit.
The one game that did not sell. Hot Pursuit was terrible.
Can we point out, by the way, like, us three probably won't give a shit because it's still EA that's doing it.
That too, but I never played Need for Speed, so...
I actually like quite a lot of the Need for Speed games. I don't like the more
the old
recent
school ones.
Yeah.
Underground.
Underground, the original
was a
Most
Burnout guy.
Wanted.
I like Carbon as well, to be fair.
Carbon
Wasn't
sort of
as
where it
good as the
started
others,
losing
but
me. Carbon
I
is
think,
sort
I
of where
think
it
I
started
just
losing me.
liked the down the cliffside race. I think that's all I liked about that.
Yeah, I mean, Carbon was where I sort of started losing interest, but then they sort of did like, yeah, it's not a race anymore. You just have to race across the country against nobody else. You just have to get there within a certain time. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not paying for this. Like, no.
I'm not paying for a 100% time trial game.
Yeah, basically. But no, Most Wanted on the PS2 was definitely my favorite Need for Speed game.
Customization in that game as well was mental.
Yeah, and then they tried to bring it back and they
Screwed it up.
Yeah, it's like, here's the thing. You have it, right. Let me ask you a question. Let's say you're game developers. You have some really, really good selling games. You have some really, really bad selling games. You can remaster them. Do you change anything in the remaster?
Of the good selling or the bad selling?
I mean, anything.
If you're remastering a bad selling game, you change the majority of it because it didn't sell before.
That's a remake.
I'll touch on the games in a minute. So, in terms of, would you change anything? Doesn't matter which game. Like, just if you remastered a game, would you change anything?
You can't, because that would be a remake.
Well, sort of. Yeah.
Not sort of.
That's true.
That's a bit of a shit question.
So you remake the game then.
Yeah.
It's like, do you change anything?
Would you remake or remaster? So I would remaster the one that sold well, remake the one that sold shit.
But in the remaster, would you fix anything? Like, would you maybe make some slight changes?
Probably not.
If the faults were there to begin with, then you'd
Yeah.
tweak them. But like you said,
No,
that
I
would
wouldn't
no
tweak
longer
them.
be a remaster.
Yeah, so you'd leave the faults as they are, James.
Yeah, because people loved that game.
Mm-hmm. And Alan, you said you would fix the faults, right?
Yeah, but that would also mean it's no longer a remaster.
I mean, if it's only bugs that are fixed, then it's still technically a remaster.
It depends on the bugs, because you could probably keep the bugs there for nostalgia purposes anyway.
I think game-breaking bugs should be fixed. Anything else should be left alone, personally.
Game-breaking bugs should be fixed, but still there. So if you were to do whatever it did that game breaker, it should come up with a message or something for nostalgia. Just to let you know that like it's still there, but it's been
like
fixed.
like a little Easter egg, basically.
Yeah.
I think you should get a trophy or achievement once you come across the bug.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I think.
That could be good for remasters. It's like if there's a known glitch or bug, like fix them and then give them a trophy for people who find it.
Deliberately kept there for people who find them.
Yeah. But no, in this case, Most Wanted and the Most Wanted remaster, which is technically a remake because so much is different, it was honestly crap compared to the original. Like they basically just took a popular name and stuck it on a new game, basically. And that's why I can't understand what they're doing with Hot Pursuit.
Can I just point out, how long have EA been running things at Need for Speed?
Since the start.
Yeah.
The very beginning, really?
Yeah.
EA's always done Need for Speed.
Well, then how has it become so shit? Because they were so good to begin with. I thought EA took over like midway through the cycle, and then
used to be good, dude.
Because now you can buy DLC.
Of course you can. Transactions.
Exactly.
Microtransactions.
Exactly. But no, it's like I can't understand what they're doing with the Hot Pursuit remaster. Because the images I've seen remind me of Underground and not Hot Pursuit. So I've no idea what's going on in this situation.
It'll still sell. Because people... So Hot Pursuit was known for a player being a copper and a player being a racer and you could chase each other. So it's going to sell just for that, again. Like the other one did. They brought out a Hot Pursuit a couple of years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, an online only thing that was broken as hell.
Yeah.
Like, it was terrible. It was a free-to-play that was full of microtransactions, and it was so bad. It was so bad.
We're just going to get the same again.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm expecting. Like, I'll probably try a demo of it, but I'm not going to get the full game, I don't think. Which, honestly, is a shame, because I do like Need for Speed games. But to me, Hot Pursuit is a wasted opportunity. They should have done Underground. That is the one that everybody wants.
I agree. The only other game I can think of that has the customization like Underground had is Forza 4 Horizon. When it comes to customizing your vehicle.
I played Forza, so I can't say anything about that. But no, we should probably start wrapping up now. We've gone over again. That seems to be happening more and more frequent lately. Anything you guys want to say to finish things off?
Just thanks for watching, and see you again next week.
Well,
and I did this last week. I'll do it again. Just basically what James covered. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next week.
and with that, everybody, that's a wrap on episode number 6 of our Simply Complicated podcast. I hope you enjoyed, and just remember, it's going to be the exact same time next week where we make a blunder once again. So make sure
James,
you come and
get ready
tune
with
in.
the hand.
With that said, though, everybody, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to check out James or Alan's channels, their links are, of course, down below in the description, as always. And with that, we will see you next Sunday at 6 PM GMT. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.